welcome to the Portland Horror Podcast Massacre, a roundtable discussion on the topics of the horror genre from the perspective of three very different horror nerds. Welcome to episode 8. My name is Heather Alexander, and I'm joined tonight by my two co-hosts,
Jeff Dean
and Willy Greer.
And we're coming to you from Portland, Oregon. Later tonight, we're sitting down with Portland horror fan Logan Burnett of the Brothers in Blood podcast. Last year, he and his brother Alex created Drive-In of the Dead, a horror market hosted by 99 West Drive-In Theater in Newburgh, Oregon. This year, Logan is putting together a Drive-In of the Dead 2, and he's going to come tell us all about it in a little bit. Afterward, the four of us will discuss our favorite subgenre of horror and the films that we think best represent them. But first, we're going to discuss the movies we've seen recently. All right, who wants to start?
All right, fine, I'll do it. Let's see, I'm just getting caught up and revisiting my notes here, but I know you mentioned our last podcast that you saw Faces of Death, and I was super intrigued about it, and I caught it myself, and I was very, very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be in my top 5 of the decade. It's a little presumptuous, but...
Year or decade?
Year. Did I say decade?
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
I think that, it was a really interesting take on, not necessarily a remake, but a kind of a sequel in a way.
Yeah, what do you call it exactly?
Yeah, I don't know.
A meta reboot?
A meta reboot. That's kind of interesting. Because it was, so they're revisiting the Faces of Death as though it is, a movie of the past, right? Mm-hmm. And then, so it's a meta sequel based on a actual film. I have no idea.
based on a film that's a fake documentary of staged footage. Anyway,
right.
it gets very complicated.
Yeah, I wouldn't even call it a remake.
No.
Because it's basically that movie exists like it exists in the real world.
Right.
And
I think the meta sequel is the...
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I had too first on my list that I had watched based on your Heather.
Oh, when did you see that? I didn't know you saw that.
I watched it a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
So I quite enjoyed it. I thought Barbie Ferreira's performance as Margot, the content creator, was pretty great.
Yeah.
Damn good.
I loved her being the protagonist in the story, and the villain. What was his name? The actor. Dacre Montgomery.
Okay.
Is his name. He did a great job. Mm-hmm. And one thing I did like about it, because this isn't a spoiler, but you pretty much find out who the killer is from the get-go. So it kind of plays off like a mystery whodunit. Not a whodunit, but like a mystery, a cat and mouse between the protagonist and the villain.
It felt like kind of one of those 90s thrillers in a way where, very kind of like Silence of the Lammy or, I don't know, just...
It reminded me a lot of Fear.com, actually.
Yeah, or like that movie Copycat or just like all of those 90s movies where, you have a female kind of like investigator and they're investigating a serial killer and we kind of know who the serial killer is because we're going along with it.
Yeah.
Like Kiss the Girls or whatever.
Yeah, and I thought I guess because my expectations were kind of so low for this, like when I heard that movie was coming out earlier this year, I was like, I don't really care that much.
I didn't want to see it at all.
And you were the first one that I had heard that I knew that saw it, and you recommended it. So I'm like, and then it dropped on, Shudder.
Oh, is it on Shudder?
Yeah, and it was like, I was just pleasantly surprised at how good it was.
Well, Jesse really wanted to see it, our friend Jesse from Trivia, and she wanted to see it in the theater, and I was like, I think I'll watch it with you when it streams. And so she came over and we rented it, and I was like, holy shit, that was really good. Okay, what else we got? So you did Face of the Death.
I did indeed.
I'm going to talk about Exit 8.
Okay.
Which I know you had seen previously, right?
Yeah.
Before. Based on a video game, Japanese film about a man who is kind of stuck in a endless subway, and he basically has to find his way out through different levels or different exits, I guess. Exit 8 is the final exit, by noticing anomalies in each level of this subway system. Pretty basic plot, but extremely well done. I really enjoyed his performance. And when you have a movie like this where you basically have like one set or two sets, basically, you have to have a pretty solid narrative to keep it going and keep people's interest. And I thought they did a good job at that. There's the one character, the man who is stuck and who he passes every time, which I thought...
The briefcase man?
Yeah, the briefcase man. It was pretty creepy.
Yeah.
I thought, and it did a really good job. My only complaint was there's something that kind of happens, a character who he meets, which I kind of thought like, oh, this is going to be this. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, but this in relation to the main character, and it kind of was. So I was kind of like, oh, I kind of felt like I saw the end coming halfway through the movie. But that's a small complaint. I still enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah. You saw it too, Willy.
Yeah. Same reaction, pretty much. I was really, really, really taken with that first act. I want to go back and watch it again just to kind of see how long... I did have a moment of like, has this all been one shot? And they definitely do a lot of long takes in that first act of just following dude through the tunnel. And everything's pretty well choreographed. There are probably some very carefully or cleverly hidden cuts or whatever, but just that vibe, you know, just following someone down a hallway. I could watch fucking Danny ride that big wheel in The Shining for 2 hours by itself. So you had me at hello with the vibe of this movie. It mostly held my interest. I think maybe it might have fallen down like a half star in the third act just because I felt it leaned on a certain plot element maybe a little bit too much. But I mean, I get why they did it. Like it's, you know, it was a decent enough story device, but really cool, really hypnotic, really well choreographed, really fucking creepy ass scene in the second act when the lights go out. Yeah. Oh my God, that was good.
Yeah.
And yeah, mostly generally very impressed.
Yeah. I really ended up enjoying it. I don't know that I was loving my experience watching it. I get repetition fatigue. And so that was a challenge for me. And the whole like sub message of the guilt that guy had and how that played into like why he was stuck or how to get out of it or whatever, I was like not really into. But I ended up walking away thinking that I really genuinely enjoyed it, but it's not a movie that I would probably rewatch.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've never played the video game, but I've heard it's like, oh, the people who have played the video game really like the movie because it's similar to that. Yeah. So, and I could kind of see that, like, oh yeah, because it's almost like a first-person video game, right? Yeah. You're following one person, and you kind of like start looking for the differences in each.
I mean, I felt like I was looking for more anomalies than that guy was. I feel like he was just like blowing past, all of these things, and I'm just like, dude,
posters that are like watching him and stuff.
You need to fucking slow down and pay attention.
Yeah.
I felt like I would have been out of there in like 10 minutes, but that's fine.
And that element I really enjoyed, just this the messaging, I guess if you want to call it, of like, like stop, look at the details around you, engage with your life a little bit more. It's probably something we could all be reminded to do.
Sure. Yeah. All right. I'm going to talk about Evil Dead Burn. So director Sebastian Van Nikkek, I don't know, French director of Infested. That was, I think, 2024. I loved that movie, Infested. I've seen it quite a few times. It's the giant spiders in a apartment building movie. And so I was really excited for Evil Dead Burn. And also I just love Evil Dead's, franchise. I think I'm have loved every single movie except for Army of Darkness, but that's just my own thing. I really loved this one. I guess in the theater watching it, I didn't anticipate the kind of very family centered, dysfunctional elements, and just kind of the drama around the family. That to me was just a little setback in terms of how I enjoy watching people interact. The dysfunctional family element is not really my vibe. But that said, the camera work in this movie is phenomenal. The house is very claustrophobic in a way. It's kind of dilapidated and almost feels narrow in some of the rooms. And I thought all of the characters were drawn out. The performances were excellent. I hated the dog scene. I actually did not watch the dog scene. But yeah, I thought it was great. It's a great addition to the franchise. It is a very mean movie. And I don't know about the next one coming, because I didn't watch the like end credits, where they kind of hint at bringing back a deadite, and kind of like restarting a movie that we thought had already been done. But I don't know if I'm going to enjoy that. But yeah, Evil Dead Burn. I cannot wait to see it again.
I can tell you that Evil Dead Wrath has already been filmed.
Okay, is that the one I'm talking about?
No.
Oh,
well, because I saw Evil Dead Burn, and I'll get to my opinion in just a second, but the Evil Dead Wrath is a prequel taking place in the 70s.
Oh, I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's supposed to come out next year or early 2028. I know it's done filming, they said. There was
is this like the doctor or whoever narrated that?
Yeah, I don't
recording?
know. They haven't said anything, characters or anything involved. They just said it takes place in the early 70s. In regards to the end credit scene, I thought it was like, I guess you could make sense of it because it's a supernatural thing. But I'm like, why did they put this in here? I thought it was kind of, seemed kind of
schlocky.
Like, it just seemed like fan service to
Yeah.
me. As far as the movie is concerned, I somewhat enjoyed it. I loved the effects, and I agree with you. The family drama, dysfunction, abuse, was kind of tiring. But at least when it gets to the carnage, it's pretty much nonstop.
Oh my God, that car scene.
Yeah.
Holy
it's
shit.
Pretty much nonstop from there. There's some creative kills in this, which I thought was pretty amusing. My one complaint with the whole newest franchise starting in 2013 is all three films are kind of humorless, basically.
Yeah.
And like all the Evil Dead movies before that, even the first one kind of has some humor in it, I think. All these are just kind of bleak. Not that that's a bad thing.
See, I thought the first one was bleak. I didn't really get a lot of humor, even though it was like, you watch it now and it's like, oh, haha, it's so bad, it's good, or it's so like cheap or whatever. But if you watch it kind of with turning that like switch off in your brain and you just kind of watch it straight, it is fucking creepy. And I feel like it is bleak and dark and like kind of humorless. And I think that when they rebooted it, I think it's kind of a reboot, the Evil Dead 2, they brought that humor in, and that hit really well with a lot of people, which is kind of why it went so...
You mean the Evil Dead 2 of the 80s? Yeah. I mean, that's...
And then, like, Army
like a
of Darkness
cartoon.
kind of, like, leaned hard into it, and then, yeah.
I do remember, like, it's very easy to kind of lose sight of it in terms of, like, how some of these movies have aged. But, like, I think Evil Dead hit video when I was in like junior high, and I remember like being in the lunch line and like someone being like, one of my friends like, "Oh, dude, man, have you seen Evil Dead? It's the scariest thing I've ever fucking seen, man." And I think that that tree assault went a long way.
Yeah.
That's kind of the impression people came away from it with.
Right. I don't know. I rewatch it pretty often, and and I always walk away just like in awe of how creepy it still is and how dark it still is. And if you don't let the cheesiness of the time affect you, like it, I don't know, it still hits with me. And then Evil Dead 2, like I barely rewatch because it's just not the vibe I'm looking for.
Yeah. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, it's like I love the
Count to
first.
5, Willy.
I love the first two, and I agree with you. The first one is a lot darker, but there's a fun element running through it. I think, at least I pick up
the first one.
Yeah, there's a fun element. I mean, it's not like a cartoon like Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
And I think we're all in agreement. Like none of us are big fans of Army of Darkness.
No, not so much.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, I mean it's fine, but
that's the one that I revisit the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as for the new trilogy, I just, not that I dislike any of them. I mean, I liked Evil Dead Rise quite a bit, even though it's like way too dark. At least this one, you could see.
Oh, you mean lighting wise?
Yeah. There's so much, like it's really dark. And at least this one, everything is kind of looking at gray ash because I guess everything's been burned, right? I mean, no,
right?
But it has that kind of gray hue to it. But I agree with you
because Ash Williams.
Oh, okay.
It could be.
Sorry, I'll show myself out.
All right.
Yeah. So I thought it was fine.
Are you gonna watch it, Willy?
I don't know if I want domestic abuse in my Evil Dead movies.
Yeah, fair. Okay. What do you got next on your list?
Oh, I did a little double feature on Sunday. Had a very good time. Started off with Saccharin, based on your recommendation. The latest kind of beauty standards body horror jam about a diet pill made from the ashes of dead people, and it is kind of it's not a Japanese movie per se, but it definitely has the essence of J-horror running through its veins. And I fucking loved this one. This is a very female-driven movie in terms of writer, director, and cast. Like the first thing this movie does, like in the opening scene, is pass the Bechdel test. We've got one very minor dude character who says a couple of douchey things and just gets immediately dismissed. Everybody else in the movie is female. The main relationship is lesbian, which makes it extra interesting for the beauty standards angle, right? So,
well, she kind of, I think that it's more like familial trauma, is that her dad is obese, right? And so there's like this eating disorder that kind of runs through her family, and that her mom is kind of a thinner Asian woman who seems to be very kind of fit and pays attention to what she eats. And, so I think that between, having a pretty healthy mom and a really unhealthy dad, this girl is like struggling with where she fits in and where does she belong, in relation to food, in relation to body image. And, and everyone around her is telling her she looks cute, and yet she is like killing herself at the gym and then binge eating like crazy. That was really hard to watch.
Yeah that opening credits sequence was like grosser than any of the body horror for me.
I know. She like at one point she takes these, I think, donuts, and she dumps them in the trash and puts dish soap all over them. And then later in
kind of looking at it,
later in the movie, she just kind of opens the trash and is staring at it like, I could wash that off.
Yeah,
she doesn't, but it was that kind of like gut punch of a like, holy shit, this character has a lot to work through.
I think I would call it like a hybrid of Raw and Ugly Stepsister. Perhaps.
Why Ugly Stepsister?
Oh, just kind of the beauty standards and eating issues, but kind of in more like of an internalized misogyny. It's her parental figure,
totally,
who's kind of that black swan, evil mother kind of a thing. Not evil, but they all have their own problems.
I can see that.
Yeah. But yeah, another kind of a take on trauma core, and another really good one. And anything else in my notes here? I don't think so.
I'm really glad you liked it. You gonna watch it?
I'm gonna watch it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
On Sunday night, I had the choice of that or another movie that I will mention that I chose.
Okay.
But you go ahead.
No, you're next.
Am I? Okay. Yeah. I'll mention it. Frankie Maniac Woman.
There you go.
It. Yay!
It was that was part of your double feature, right?
Yes,
yeah.
it was.
So, so I watched. I know Heather loves this movie. It's like one of your top movies of this year, right? Yeah.
Are you gonna shit on it? Do I have to prepare myself?
Prepare yourself.
Oh,
no,
God.
no, I'm just kidding. No, I mean basically this movie is like really thin on plot, but basically, an LA singer-songwriter confronts, fat shaming and verbal abuse and childhood trauma to basically go on a murder spree in LA, and she pretty much targets young, hot women. Mm-hmm. There's one male victim, but everybody else is women, which I thought was kind of a strange plot device, I guess. Yeah. But I really, for the most part, enjoyed this movie. I thought Emily Ann Miller's performance pretty much holds the whole movie together. Mm-hmm. She is great in it. And the character who plays basically her, I don't want to say sponsor, but influence, he's kind of equally bizarre too, right? I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen it yet, but who's kind of telling her what to do. Mm-hmm. They have some pretty fun interactions together. It's pretty much a dark comedy horror splatterfest of a movie. My biggest complaint is the third act, when she goes to the the retreat, or she meets the girls on the retreat. It kind of starts to lose steam there for me, because it has like a pretty fast-paced first two acts, and then it kind of starts to drag, and I was kind of like finding myself to like, come on, wrap it up a little bit.
Yeah. But
other than that, I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. There's some pretty spectacular gore in it. I am curious about what you guys think about most of the people she targets are not, don't deserve to die, right? I mean, that's kind of like the serial killer thing.
I mean, I kind of felt like this is, in terms of like feminism, it doesn't really hit because you have this serial killer woman, and we're kind of like hoping that she takes down the patriarchy with, or whoever's doing the fat shaming or anything like that, and in regards to the characters in this. But she turns on all of the women that it feels like she kind of wants to be, or not even wants to be, but the women that are getting the attention that she wants. I don't think that she wants to be thin, and look like every other pretty girl, but I do think that she hates the fact that these thin, pretty women are getting the roles or the chances that she's not getting. And I think that's kind of why she targets them. And honestly, like, I'm so excited for a female serial killer that I don't fucking care who she kills. I just take it all down, burn it all to the ground. And I think that the third act was bizarre. And when I was seeing it, I was like, why are we here? But when I started thinking about it later, it's like these beautiful women are giving her the attention that she never got from anybody else. And so it's like, a slumber party, and she's just happy to be included. And, it's kind of when they wake up the next morning and the harsh light of day and everything, kind of reality sets in, that she starts to get back to her roots of killing everyone.
Yeah, it's like, because I guess my expectations, and it's fine that did not, follow those, in the fact that I thought, like, okay, this is going to be like vigilante justice. We're going to be like rooting this killer on the whole time. But that's not the case in like one of her first victims. And you realize, oh no, she's just,
psychotic.
Yeah. She's just going to kill anybody who she thinks, or who she's told to kill, basically. And I was mistaken. There are 2 male victims, not just one.
Willy, what did you think?
I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yay.
There were some weird bits, but they didn't, not weird that they took me out of the movie, like weird that was like, okay, you did this on purpose. Now I just want to figure out why. Mm-hmm. In terms, I think that she's a fantastic villain / anti-hero, whatever you want to call her. Great screen presence. I think the murder scenes, like in the first and third act, kind of do what Rob Zombie has been trying to do, but more successfully, in my humble opinion.
What is Rob Zombie trying to do? With
the modern day grindhouse kind of vibe, just go for broke, super gory, super wild, and then a killer that you're supposed to kind of be rooting for and disgusted by. Mm-hmm. They do a really good job with her. It reminded me a little bit of this Japanese movie, Evil Dead Trap 2. So it's a female projectionist who kills women.
Oh.
It's really, really nasty.
Oh.
And then like her thin TV star best friend gets pregnant and shit hits the fan.
I feel like I saw Evil Dead Trap 1. Is that like in an abandoned warehouse?
Like an abandoned military base?
Yeah. Okay.
I think, yeah. It's like an anthology franchise. None of them are related.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's awesome.
And then that weirdo kind of third act that comes out of nowhere like made me think of El Topo a little bit. I don't know how much I can go into that without giving it away, but
I don't know El Topo.
It was the first official Midnight movie.
Oh.
Alejandro Jodorowsky's batshit acid Jesus Western.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been on my list forever, and I'm never in the mood to see it, but...
I rarely am myself.
Okay.
I appreciate its place in history. It's a legendary film, but I think Jodorowsky's made better movies.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to talk about...
So are you happy that we didn't dislike it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because, like we all go to the theater and we all see the, Obsession and Backrooms and Evil Dead and all of these movies that we're all expected to watch, and we all like because everybody likes them because they're actually good movies, and that's all fine and good. It's a little fucking boring. So when, there are all of these like straight to video movies or limited release movies that, go to straight to video or go to video pretty soon after, that I watch, and I'm like, see, this is the heart and soul of horror for me, is like seeing these movies that not a lot of people are watching, not a lot of people are talking about, and when they're really fucking good, they deserve, the accolades to get people out there to see them. And so this is my bread and butter, like Frankie Maniac Woman, Saccharine. Those are the movies that I'm just like, yes, I want to elevate these movies because that's what makes these conversations interesting, in my opinion. Anyways.
The sleepers, yeah.
The sleepers. Okay, I will talk very briefly about this movie because I thought it was trash. Corporate Retreat. So this was a theatrical release that lasted for a hot minute, and then it was pretty much on video within like a couple weeks. I was really excited to see it. It looked fun, but it was not for me. It's corporate executives on a team building retreat face a deadly struggle when their leader turns violently against them. It's just very torture porny. It's got Alan Ruck in it from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He plays this like, I don't know, this like false prophet that's just hell bent on revenge. And so he lures all of his ex-coworkers into this retreat, and then he like fucking starts to kill them. It was just not, it felt very like, I thought we got past all of this, like kind of Saw bullshit But we didn't, and I did not like it. That's about as much time as that I want to give to that movie. What else you got, Willie?
I believe that's about it for me.
Okay. How about you, Jeff?
I saw Cold Storage.
Oh, yeah.
Which you had mentioned a couple episodes ago. Kind of a horror comedy about some kind of couple of slackers who have a job at a storage facility, which just happens to be built above an old military site where some alien fungus is being stored, which said fungus is no longer cold. It breaks or cracks or something like that and starts to spread. This is a kind of fun, slimy, goopy movie. I thought Liam Neeson was pretty fun in this movie.
Such a bizarre choice.
Yeah, I was like, wow, Liam Neeson's in this, and he's actually has a fairly decent-sized part.
Who was his counterpart, the female? I really liked her as an actress.
She was good too. I don't remember what her actress's name is. The lead guy he's in Strange. No, he was in Wednesday, the TV show Wednesday.
Oh, I feel like he was in something else too. But yeah.
But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's not really scary at all. It's more of kind of a gross, slimy, just fun gore fest, and the effects are actually quite good in it.
Yeah.
So, I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't love it. I had seen Ick at like the end of last year or something like that, which is kind of the same thing where this like cosmic fungus starts to take over the world, and it's a comedy. I actually preferred that one a lot more. And I felt like the two were very similar in ways. Not that you have to choose between them, but it just reminded me, it was like, oh, this is like Ick, but not as good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. A movie that I watched recently is called You're Dead to Me. And it's by director Juan Pablo and Aris Munoz. And the synopsis is: a group of high school seniors grapple with the reality of moving away to college as a serial killer is on the loose. It's a pretty straightforward plot. Essentially, this really rich girl in this gigantic, beautiful house, all alone. Her dad is like a businessman, so he's gone all the time, and her mom is dead or not around. And her best friends, who are going off to college in New York soon. I think they all graduate high school. So it's just like this summer of like a lazy summer, and they're all at this rich girl's house, like doing the pool thing and doing drugs and drinking and all of that. But it's just the three of them. But there's simultaneously, there's a serial killer, and this killer is killing other, of their classmates who you're not really following. You just kind of like hear about them on the news, or they talk about them as though they knew them. And then there's a couple of, scary things in terms of the house, like the alarms going off, or there's somebody broke in or whatever. But I'm not going to give away the ending because I didn't actually see the ending coming. But I really, really like this movie a lot. I kind of likened it to The Lovely Bones meets Bad Things. And Bad Things was a movie a couple of years ago. I don't have really the notes on it here, but I really loved this movie called Bad Things. And that was also about like a group of young adults at this abandoned hotel in like a snowy middle of nowhere. And I forget the reason why they were there. Like one of them, their mom owned the hotel or something. I don't know. But serial killer on the loose very much reminded me of that. Bad Things was a favorite of that year. But You're Dead to Me was really, really fun. It's very slow. It's very teeny. But I loved the ending. I just didn't see it coming.
Size doesn't matter. Heather.
Yeah. 3.5 out of 5 skulls for that one. And then I'm just going to move on to another one because I have so many. I watched a movie called The Bay by director Phil Volkin, starring Francesca Eastwood, who is Clint Eastwood's daughter. And she is gorgeous. And I saw her in a movie a couple years ago called Clawfoot, which I loved. It was just like this little indie movie about this rich woman who is like doing her thing. And this contractor comes over and is like, your husband hired me to install a clawfoot tub. And she's like, no. And he's like, yeah. And it's just like that, it's just like this fucking guy is here to install a clawfoot tub and she is not having it. And it turns violent and it's so good. So she's in this movie called The Bay, and it's essentially two best friends attending a destination wedding in Thailand, find themselves trapped on a sinking tour boat in the heart of a tiger shark sanctuary. And so it's a great shark movie. It's actually really kind of heart-wrenching. The action sequences are great. All of the actors are phenomenal. I thought this movie was just 4 out of 5 stars. I did not expect where this, this plot kind of went. And it is very much a survival, shark movie. There's some sequences where they use like real shark footage, and you can kind of tell that the cuts are not that great. So it's not like a super high quality movie in terms of that. But I thought it was really fun.
Was that this year?
Yeah, all of these are this year. Yeah.
So we've also got Devil's Mouth, so 2 Thailand-based shark movies.
Yeah, and well, God, we've had I think 4 or 5 shark movies this year that the Deep Waters and Thrash was earlier this year. And then that terrible movie Chum. And then, Devil's Mouth and The Bay, and just some really solid shark movies this year. What do you have, Jeff?
Well, I have a double feature that I did. I went back to the year 1989.
How was that year for you? Were your clothes still in style, or
they were?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I just picked the year 1989 and went through and kind of picked a couple movies that I had never seen before. One of them is Cutting Class.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that.
High school whodunit slasher starring Jill Schoelen and a very young Brad Pitt. I think it's his second film. This was the very tail end of the 80s slasher trend, and this might be the movie that killed it. This is pretty dull. Nothing really happens, it seems like, for the first hour. And even when you figure out who the killer is, it's like, okay, it wasn't that big of a surprise. The gore is pretty non-existent. The only reason I would really recommend this movie is for the, amusingly horrible dialogue and the 80s fashions, if you're into watching these 80s movies for those reasons. They had some disturbing casting in this one. They cast Roddy McDowall as like a principal who likes to look up high school girls' skirts and stuff. It's like, it's bizarre. I felt bad for him. I'm like, God, you had to choose this movie at the end of your career to do. Yeah, it's for slasher movie completists is the only way I would recommend this one, or if you have to see every movie Brad Pitt has done. But that's about it.
Those are both on my checklist.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, I know you're a big slasher fan.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have something else, or?
I have many things.
Okay, well, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
All right. The second one I did was from, of course, 1989. It's called The Immortalizer, directed by Joel Bender. This is the plot of Get Out 25 years before we had Get Out. A scientist kidnaps beautiful young people and takes their brains out and replaces them with the brains of wealthy old folks so they can live again as young, beautiful people. The majority of this movie takes place in one location. It's fairly low budget. Some of the effects work is pretty bad. And so these experiments where they put brains in certain people and it doesn't quite go right, this doctor locks them up in the basement, and they basically become his henchmen who go out and kidnap all the young people. It's trash, this movie, but it is better than Cutting Class. It is somewhat amusing. I only looked at my phone once to see how much longer is this movie going to be running. But like Cutting Class, I'm like, God, this movie's 90 minutes and it feels like it's 4 hours long.
Oh my God.
But The Immortalizer is ridiculous fun.
That could be a new rating system. Like, how many times did you look at your phone?
Yeah, I know too.
God.
I was going to say look at my watch, but who wears a watch anymore, right? Oh, Heather does. You have a techno watch. That's like a high-end watch.
I have to know what my heart rate is at all times.
Yeah, but this film, it's pretty much on the same budget level as like Charles Band Full Moon movies.
Okay.
If you're a fan of those.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty much like kind of straight to video trash, but it's somewhat amusing.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I have next on my list Black Box. So this was by director Stephen Quayle. Synopsis is a Flight 298 from New Orleans to Seattle becomes the center of a chilling supernatural mystery. It tells you nothing. This is essentially, I'm going to say it's like Aliens, but like it's like Space Cthulhu. Or like, I would say that, Space Cthulhu. And it essentially targets this airline or this flight. And it there are these like tiny little worms that get inside of you and take you over like they're like like you're now a pod person. But all of it's happening on this plane while it's in flight. So it's very, claustrophobic, and it's very, a lot of like high octane action. I thought it was really fun. It's kind of like, it feels like almost like a sci-fi channel movie. So it's not like the best quality. But if you're just looking for some like space creatures that hijack a plane and start killing people, like, you could do worse. It's what it is. I'm pretty easy.
I think I saw a clip of this online, and it kind of showed the Cthulhu type monster, and some of the effects looked pretty shoddy.
Oh yeah, no, it's not great, but if you're just looking for some cheesy sci-fi horror fun on a plane, there's, I don't know.
That's like a whole subgenre.
I'm not
terror on a
picky.
plane.
Yeah. We all know I like bad movies, okay? This one I actually kind of enjoyed. All right, I've got 4 more. What do you got?
I'm done.
You're done.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
it's all you.
Taking center stage here. All right. A movie called The Rebrand by director Kay Adelaide. I don't know. I'm terrible with names. I shouldn't even be allowed to pronounce them. Anyways, the synopsis is that this lesbian couple who they're influencers, something happens and they get canceled, essentially. And years later, they hire a documentarian to come back, and they want to essentially rebrand themselves with this documentary. But my God, these fucking people are so bizarre. Like, why would you even think that you can be on camera and be normal? Because one of them is just psychotic. I think it basically has like Creep vibes, but a little less like horror, because they're not serial killers. But yeah, it's this like crazy fucking bitch who is just unhinged, and her partner / wife, I forget if they're actually married or not. I think they are married. Who's trying to keep it all together, and then this documentarian who's pregnant and is just like having the worst time. I actually ended up enjoying it. I think it didn't really know where it was going for half of the movie, but I liked where it ended up, which is the only reason why I ended up liking it. But it's called The Rebrand. If you like influencer horror, I love it. Then it might be for you. I also watched Leviticus, which I know we all know because it was in theaters. It's pretty popular. People love it. Starring Joe Bird from Talk to Me. Two teenage boys must escape a violent entity that takes on the form of the person they desire most, each other. I thought this movie was very solid. I did not love it. It did not scare me like I was hoping for or like I expected it to from all of the It Follows references. It just didn't. Yeah, it had its creepy moments, and I thought it was so well done. I loved the queer love story was just really, it was basically like an awakening in this time and in this town where it was dangerous and scary to be gay, and it was so earnest and lovely, and where it goes was really heartbreaking. With all that said, I just didn't love the movie. I was not necessarily bored, but kind of bored. I mean, I don't know. It just went on a little. I felt like I wanted more acts or something. Like I felt like it ran with what it had for a little bit too long. But I can see why people love it. It was a great movie.
Yeah, I've heard kind of mixed. It seems like people either love it or they.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they just don't get the hype.
Yeah.
Maybe or something like that. So.
Yeah.
But it's on some lists of like so far the best of the year. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we talked about kind of doing a blind viewing for our eighth Slaughter movie, and I'm glad we didn't because I think people would have fallen asleep. Okay. I watched Devil's Mouth, which I fucking loved. I know that this movie is kind of getting a little bit trashed, but I thought it was so much fun. Catherine Newton is one of the stars, and she is my girl.
I'll watch her in just about
I will
anything.
watch her make a grocery list. I don't care. So yeah, like you said, Willy, a group of friends are on a Thailand adventure. They become trapped in some caves with a shark, essentially, and they can't get out, and they start dying. This movie is really visually dark, and I watched it during the day, and it was such a struggle to see what the fuck was going on. I definitely recommend watching this in a dark room. I will be rewatching it in a dark room, but I loved it. It was gory. It was scary. It was, Catherine Newton is a fucking queen. I really liked it a lot. It's probably my favorite shark movie of the year, because of which, like we said, there are many.
You could do a list of your top 10 favorite shark movies of 2026.
The last half of 2026.
Yeah. Seriously. And there's more coming out. Like I think there's another one coming out at the end of August. All right, last one, you guys. This one is on everyone's hate list, and I fucking loved it. Shocking. And it's Passenger. I loved this movie so much. I thought it was so scary. I thought it was so atmospheric and creative. So this is by Andre Overdell, the director
Autopsy
for
of Jane Doe,
Autopsy of
Troll
Jane Doe.
Hunter.
And of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which I actually think is a pretty scary movie as well. But the synopsis, for those of you who don't know, after a young couple witness a gruesome highway accident, they soon realize they did not leave the crash scene alone, as a demonic presence called the Passenger won't stop until it claims them both. This is just a super fun, like van life movie. These two, 30-something folks sell their cool apartment and start doing the van life. And they pretty quickly become haunted by this demonic presence. There are some really cool sequences in this. pretty fucking scary. I couldn't, I cannot wait to rewatch it. I just thought it was great. And I looked it up, on Letterboxd is kind of where I hang these days in terms of movies, and most people hate it. So
I'm very curious about it because I like all of Overdahl's movies.
Yeah.
Like, I was a fan of the Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh, yeah.
One, which a lot of people hated.
Yeah.
But I like that. And, I love Troll Hunter and Autopsy of Jane Doe, and I thought Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark was pretty solid as well. So I like most of his movies, so I'm going to give it a shot for sure.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to pick this up on disc, and, I don't know why people hated it so much, but...
I'm intrigued by van life horror as a perhaps new subgenre in general.
Yeah. Is there any other van life horror that we...
Oh gosh, I mean, I can think of like
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
No, it's not van life. My goodness.
They're in a van.
That's so true.
There was that brief wave of vansploitation sex comedies in the 70s, but the concept is really kind of a new one. There was that one Oscar winner movie that I can't remember the name of right now, The Nomads or something.
Oh yeah.
But I wouldn't mind seeing. There's a lot of potential for kooky character interactions and situations in that kind of a subgenre.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, I kind of live on Letterboxd these days, so you can find me under Heather A. Okay. Is that about it for us?
I think so.
I reckon.
Covered a lot of movies.
I know. I was hoping to fit a couple more in, but...
And we're back.
We are back, and we are sitting down now with Logan Burnett of the Brothers in Blood podcast.
Yes, yeah, that is me.
Welcome.
Formerly podcast. Now we're calling it the Brothers in Blood Collective.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just because we're not doing the pod anymore and kind of branching out into different things. So
what are you branching out into?
Just all the event stuff, trying to do more event organization, and also just being part of markets and swaps and the zines, and not having Alex here is different, so I'm getting used to that. I want to keep the name Brothers in Blood just because it's catchy and recognizable, but it's becoming something different, which is funny because the way it started was something different. It was never meant to be a podcast, and then we were kind of like, well, let's do a podcast.
What did it start out as?
We wanted to do horror comics and make horror short films, and then it kind of just became, well, do we have time to do long form stuff like that? Not really. Let's do short form stuff and kind of intersperse what we can with writing and art.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last year you both did Drive-In of the Dead at the 99 West Drive-In Theater in Newburgh. What made you guys want to do a market?
So we have been, part of the tape scene and I mean the horror scene our whole lives, but the tape scene specifically the last 8 to 10 years. And if you guys, I'm sure you guys know about VHS Fest on the East Coast. Alex and I are from the East Coast, and there are horror things out here. There's, Crypticon and Ghost of Summer and all the markets and everything, but there's not really a VHS fest like they have. So we were like, well, what if we opened it up and we didn't just do VHS, but we had local artists and anything kind of revolving around horror there, T-shirts and books and all that stuff. And yeah, we were lucky enough to be friends with Ashton before that and had him on Brothers in Blood before and floated the idea to him, and he loved it. And so we were like, yeah, let's do it. And a lot of thanks goes to our friend Razors in the Night, who really pushed for it. And he was like, this is a good idea. You guys should do this. And once we had him on board, it was kind of just like, who do you know? And we hit up everyone we knew, and that's how it got rolling.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like, all of the big fests and cons have people from all over. People fly in for them. They're very kind of big and splashy. But there's not, and even, Ghost of Summer and all of the, what's the Curios?
The Cabinet and Curiosities.
Yeah, Cabinet and Curiosities.
I mean, that tours the whole nation.
Right. So, and that's the thing is that like they all feel like really big, and this market feels very community based, you know?
Yeah. I mean, we've labeled it now as homegrown horror.
Yes.
You know, it's with Alex gone, it is just me right now doing everything. And there's part of that's exciting because it's like, I'm not a control freak, but I like to be like, no, this is how we're going to run things. But it's also a lot of weight and a lot to carry. And, you know, you got people hitting you up months later who are like, hey, can I get a spot? And it's like, nah, man, we filled all spots within like 24 hours, you know? Wow. And there's a little bit of not guilt, but kind of like you want to include everyone. But it's also like sometimes you have to stop and say, this doesn't fit the event. Like, no shade to people who are crocheting things, but if it's involving horror, cool, like we'll have you on. But there are some people, I think, just any market that comes out, they want to do it, and it's like we want to be a little more curated, especially this year.
So how many vendors did you have last year?
Last year we capped it at 65. We had 70, and then people started to drop out, and we're like, okay. I think day of we were right around 60 because it was so hot that day. I'm sure you guys remember that we had people dropping day of, and they were like, yeah, we just can't do the heat, or we have vinyl and they're going to melt. And that's all understandable.
That was an unforgettable day, yes.
Yes, yeah. I think like 98 degrees that day, maybe higher.
I literally was walking around and started seeing black spots, and I was like, oh, I think I have to sit down.
Yeah.
And plus everybody in the horror community wears black.
Yeah.
So
dude, I'm all black, and I very rarely wear shorts. That day I was like, I'm wearing shorts, I have to do it.
Yeah. So do you see yourself branching out to any other, so you're at 99 West. Do you see yourself doing this multiple times a year or tapping any other venues?
Yeah, definitely. I think with this year, and like I said, with it just being me, I'm keeping it as this for this year. I'd really love to eventually get something going on at the Haunted Corn Maze at Salvie Island. You guys know Oaks Park has like their vendors and stuff. I've heard hit or miss things about that. I think the Haunted Corn Maze is kind of untapped because they have so much space up there, and it is so crowded. Like if you've been up there, it's, you know, it blows up every night here in October.
Yeah.
I think, you know, maybe less vendors, but still like 30 people would do really well on any given night there.
That's a great idea.
I want to ask you a question about like the VHS scene. So I've noticed over the last number of years, it's really exploded. I mean, I know multiple venues and bars here in Portland have VHS swaps.
Yeah.
And last year at the Drive-In of the Dead, many vendors were, you know, selling VHS. What is it you think that is the major appeal of VHS?
You know, I think, like I said, the VHS Fest been around for 10 years now. Obviously, people who have, you know, jumped off from Blu-ray and everything. A lot of people collect both. I think there's just something so tangible about the slipcover and the weight of the VHS and the art that's on the front and the nostalgia of it, you know. The way I think of it is horror fans all love practical effects, so physical media is going to be big in this community. And yeah, the VHS just has a nostalgia to it. I mean, a lot of people love 80s horror specifically, and that's the VHS boom.
Yeah.
The smell of a tape when it gets hot, you know, in the machine, not in a parked car.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. I mean, for me, it was just like, I was like, I just want to have my favorites. So I want to have the Lost Boys and all John Carpenter's stuff. And now it's exploded, and it's like, well, I've got this on Blu-ray, and I've got it on VHS, and I've got this weird thing that I've never heard of that I bought because I've never heard of it. And that's another big part of it.
Was Lost Boys the first one that you bought?
The first, well, I had ones that my parents gave me. My most treasured VHS is my parents' copy of Halloween. It's a Blockbuster copy, and it's just one I'll never part with.
And a clamshell? It
is not a clamshell. Okay. It's a slip, thankfully. Nice. Yeah. I'm a little anti-clamshell.
I am too.
Yeah. But yeah, that movie holds a lot of memories for me. So that was my first that I was like, this is the beginning of the collection. The first I bought was probably The Lost Boys. Yeah.
Nice. When Jeff arrived, I was down in the basement here. We're recording in the basement tonight because it's like 100 degrees outside and everything is on fire. So Jeff arrived, and I can hear him and my husband upstairs talking about the VHS collection. And Adam says, it started off with just Heather wanting to collect her favorites, and now it's like she's collecting everything, and I'm like, I can hear you.
I think it's how it goes for a lot of people. And then, like I said, you hear about the stuff that you can only find on VHS. And it's like, well, I gotta have that, you know.
And also, I remember, like, you know, because most of us here grew up in the 80s, that the box cover, seeing a box cover for a movie that you had never seen is like special, right? It's like, oh my God, the art involved. Because a lot of the times in some of those movies, the box cover is the best part, right?
Oh, 100%.
So,
And I think just the ritual of physical media, of taking something off the shelf, putting it in and sitting down,
Absolutely.
you're less likely to, you know, I hate the term because I hate that it happens, but second screening I think happens way more because of streaming. I think if you're watching something that you've either rented from Movie Madness or that you own in your collection, you're far more likely to put the phone down and just focus on the movie.
because you have some investment in it,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
For sure.
So tell us a little bit about this year's Drive-In of the Dead.
Yeah, so this year we've got 55 vendors. We've pushed it back to September in hopes to avoid the heat. So it's September 19th. It's a Saturday. It'll be from noon to 5, and then we've got a double feature after. The double feature, we don't know yet.
Okay.
It's hush-hush. There's rumors about the new Resident Evil and possibly the 88 Blob remake, which I'd like. I'd be cool with that. The drive-in's a little hesitant this year to play older movies, so I think they want to pair it with a new movie that I think will do well, which is why...
I mean, they're doing the older movies on Thursdays. Is
Yes.
this because it's a Saturday?
Yeah, the deal is that if they book something for a Saturday, it has to play all 3 days, so it has to play Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I see.
So I think the concern last year when we did Bram Stoker's Dracula and Fright Night is that the other 2 nights didn't do as well as they were hoping.
I see.
So, yeah. Like I said, I'd be happy with either of those movies as long as we don't get stuck with like Practical Magic 2, which I like the first Practical Magic, but I don't think
Not
that's
the vibe you're
good...
going for.
Exactly.
It's not on brand.
Exactly. But yeah, this year, like I said, we were a little more curated with vendors. I think all the guests will be happy. Last year we had roughly 500 to 600 people come out, even though it was super hot. So I'm hoping this year we do even better than that. It'd be great.
Is there a cover to get in?
There is a $5 cover to get in.
Okay.
They're not super strict about it, so maybe you'll get lucky and sneak around, but I would be prepared to pay $5 to get in.
And are you coming, where's the entrance for this market?
So the entrance is the same as always. It's just you go through the drive-in like you usually would to the 99W, and then they have overflow parking. This year, because we have limited the vendors a little bit, there will also be some parking on the field, about 10 to 20 spots. And if there's, like last year, we had to send people over to like Burger King and park over there, and they walked over.
Okay.
So I would be prepared if you're not getting there right at noon to possibly walk a little bit, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it last year. So
Hell yeah, it was a lot of fun. We had quite the adventure. Outside of the market. We what did we do? So we went to the market. We left a little early because we were melting, and then we went into Newburgh, and
We tried to find some bars that had some air conditioning.
yeah, because we were gonna host trivia for the movies that night. That didn't end up happening because there was a lot of technical issues, and we were alone, so we didn't know how the hell to troubleshoot it. So we just pieced out. But yeah, it was an interesting day.
I know you got some good stuff, I remember.
I always get good stuff.
yeah.
So where can people, like if they want information about this, you guys have an Instagram account?
Yeah, so brothersandblood_collective. Just send me a message on there. I also have, the email is brosandbloodpod666@gmail.com. If I have to miss something, just, leave a comment, or you can also hit up the 99W and Ashton will respond to you.
Okay. And just on a personal note, so you are creating some things. So you have some zines. And so what's going to be for sale at your booth there?
So I'll have probably 3 to 4 different zines, maybe 5, but at least 4. Newer stuff and a couple of reprints. I've been really lucky to, have a deal with specifically Mid-Slumber Media, where I've been restocking there pretty frequently, about once every month and a half.
Nice.
Cool. And we upped my numbers recently from 15 to 24, which I was very excited about. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of reprints just so everyone gets a chance to kind of get something new. So you know, sorry, I keep saying
we have this note here.
Yeah.
Because we do it too.
Yeah, he used to really hound me about it. But yeah, so, you know, with the zines, I used to be embarrassed because I would write like poetry and stuff, and telling my guy friends that I wrote poetry was kind of like, yeah, I do this too. But it's very horror and very macabre and very, you know, my favorite movie is Bram Stoker's Dracula, so it's a lot of stuff based around that. And then I also do a little bit of film analysis. And then my latest scene, or not my latest, but my second to latest is a short story about a young man who is in a family of cannibals, and he doesn't want to be a cannibal. So it's a little bit Texas Chainsaw 2 meets Better Off Dead.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're, so the Portland Horror Podcast Massacre is going to be there. We are going to have a table and just kind of, we'll have t-shirts for sale and, you know, talk about the podcast. We're going to actually do a fun little thing for the podcast there, but that's going to be a secret for a little while.
I'll also have some toys and maybe some old DVDs that I no longer want, that I've upgraded.
What kind of toys?
Horror toys. Monsters.
Horror toys?
Not horror toys.
Not horror toys? Oh, okay.
Toys that people that go to Driving to the Dead would probably want to buy.
Okay.
Yeah. People like me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Logan, thank you so much for joining us for this podcast. One of the things that we want to focus on and do with this specifically Portland podcast is have more Portland community on the podcast to talk about what's happening in Portland. So I appreciate you taking the time to come over.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I know, you know, I've been in your guys' chairs and having a guest on many times, and it's always kind of a gamble of how well spoken is this person, you know, what are we going to get out of them? So I'm really grateful to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so is there any last words about the drive-in or anything that you want to talk about before we move on?
Just spread the word, you know, tell your friends. This is, like I said, it's really a grassroots thing. So I want to get the word out as fast as possible, and everyone should know about it. Last year I had TikTok. This year I'm not doing that because it's a time suck and evil. So yeah, just tell all your friends, and if you see a flyer, point it out.
And also, what we could do is, like, if you wanted to make an announcement, like, over the next couple of trivia nights
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Because we, you know, you have an audience right there.
That would be awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you see it on Instagram, go ahead and share that in your stories so that everybody can know. And I think that Cult Classics will be posting about it a little bit more, and 99 West will be posting about it more, and we certainly will too. So we'll spread the word.
Thank you guys.
All
Thanks.
right.
Yeah.
We are going to move on to our favorite subgenre of horror. Willy, do you want to kick us off?
I suppose. Yeah, it took a while to kind of narrow it down, and I kind of just settled on like the one that I figured I would have the most to talk about that isn't super redundant. I am a slasher man through and through, you know. Slasher movies were there for me as a kid in a way that I will always be grateful for. But how much have we talked about those? A couple of other ones, like I love, as a subgenre, like cursed movies, movies about cursed movies, and found footage. But there aren't enough movies that I love to have 5 to talk about, unfortunately. So I chose psychological horror.
Okay.
Maybe most specifically mindfuck horror. I figured it was a pretty good umbrella to bring in other things. You can bring slashes in there, certainly. And psychedelic movies, too, which is, something I'm a big fan of. So I'm going to kick mine off with what was my favorite movie for about 20 years, 1989's Santa Sangre, written and directed by Alejandro Jodorowsky, and produced by Dario Argento's brother, Claudio? Yeah. There's a lot of Argentos to keep track of. So yeah, Santa Sangre, it's the classic story of young boy growing up in a circus with an abusive knife-throwing father and an abusive trapeze artist mother who also happens to run a heretical religious cult on the side. Gets traumatized by watching his father cut off his mother's arms one night in a drunken rage, gets institutionalized, and escapes later to join up with his armless mother in a quest for revenge. Sure, we've seen it before, but have we seen it with 7-foot-tall tattooed women and elephants doing things? Never mind. Okay, this is basically like a Fellini directed a slasher movie. And at the time that I saw this, I was very, very into Argento. So this was kind of a nice gateway into something a little more intelligent and curious than your average Argento movie. It totally had the vibe. It had the crazy colors. It had the splashy, bloody violence, and a very compelling story that totally hooked me back then. It's kind of treading in the waters of Psycho, to where you're actually, very, very empathetic towards the killer. You're kind of hoping that he gets away almost more than any of his victims do. Mm-hmm. I still adore this movie to death. It's probably number 3 now for me. It's fallen down a little bit. One of the reasons being some chickens were harmed in the making of this movie. I think it was the last movie that Jodorowsky hurt animals on, but he was kind of notorious for that, and it's kind of the one black mark in his filmography. Unfortunately, he does kind of regret doing all that today. Mm-hmm. But I have never seen anything quite like Santa Sangre. It's a spiritual, mystical slasher movie, if you can buy that. And so many layers, so much to talk about, so much to ponder. Pop some edibles and watch it with your friends today.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it again. It's on the list, and I'm never in the mood for something so layered, I guess.
Yeah, it's like when I first...
It's fun, too, I swear.
Okay.
Yeah, when I first met Willy, like, over 25 years ago, he said, "Have you seen Santa Sangre?" And I'm like, "I haven't." So I went and rented it. I was like, "What the hell is that?"
This is like Willy's
this guy?
No,
soul.
it was... I totally
Ready
picked
to change
up
my number.
on the Psycho vibes. I thought there was some Invisible Man references running through it. It's a trip of a movie, but I enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. It's like something that is wholly original.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's one of those ones that you just kind of always like hear whispered, and it's like, oh, Santa Sangre, and it's like, I keep meaning to check it out, but it's so elusive that I haven't gotten to it yet. Yeah. But it's on my list for sure. My Letterboxd watch list, which is thousands of films.
All right, Jeff.
I'm jealous you get to watch it for the first time.
Yeah.
So coming up with favorite subgenre was difficult. I was thinking, there's so many that I love. Alien horror, monster movies. When I really got to think of it, like, what is it that I really love about monster movies? And it's pretty much the creation of said monster and the fiends behind it. Basically, the mad scientist, mad science movies are kind of my favorite subgenre. And the subgenre is so ripe for horror. Diabolical doctors, neurotic nurses, psycho patients, sickly symptoms, terrifying transplants, all sorts of medical mayhem. Oh, God. And the umbrella of movies under this subgenre is glorious. The first movie I'm going to talk about is one of my favorites, Island of Lost Souls from 1932. It's the adaptation of H.G. Wells' The Island of Dr. Moreau. There have been 3 kind of major adaptations throughout cinema history, and this is, I think, the best. For those of you not familiar with the story of Dr. Moreau, basically it's about a doctor who does human-animal hybrid experiments on the South Pacific island. Why? I don't know. He's just curious, I guess. All these doctors are very driven by their passions. I think this movie is fantastic. It's a pre-code movie, so it's before the Hays Code came in the mid-30s. So it gets away with some pretty kind of graphic scenes, and there's a human/panther woman, and there's very kind of sexual motif going on with her. And one of the characters, Dr. Moreau, wants to see if she will mate with a human. I hate
that word, mate.
Mate. It's a great movie. It's highlighted by Charles Laughton, who gives a just delicious performance as Dr. Moreau. He's almost childlike in his giddy. So it's like totally fantastic, I think. Island of Lost Souls. Has anybody else seen it?
I have not. Just recently watched the remake with Val Kilmer.
And, oh that's pretty notorious.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, the whole story with the two directors is very interesting once you kind of see the layers behind it. But yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. I like Fariz Balk, so I'm there for it.
Yeah, I'm one of the few people that like that movie. Mm-hmm. I think it's a total train wreck. Yeah, but like Brando is like, he's God. Just insane in that movie, which is totally watchable. Yeah, and like the whole controversy with Richard Stanley being fired, and then getting a job as one of the extras hidden under makeup. Yeah. Which there's a whole documentary about it called Lost Souls. Yeah. That's fascinating.
It's a fucking awesome documentary. Yeah.
What's the documentary called?
It's like Lost Souls.
Okay. Lost Souls, yeah. Or singular, Lost Soul.
Lost Soul, yeah.
But between that and Hearts of Darkness and fucking, what's the other one? I had it and I lost it. Sorry.
Okay. That's a weird name for a movie.
I know, right?
All right. I was going back and forth between slashers, zombies, and found footage. All of them are my favorite for different reasons. And I initially had settled on zombies. And the more that I thought of it, the more that, slashers just kept whispering in my ear, leaving it behind. I know. Leaving it behind seemed just very unnatural. So, because ultimately slashers, it's the nearest and dearest to my heart. It's the slashers that raised me. I grew up in the 80s, and my first horror movie ever, I was in second grade, and it was prom night, and I've just never left that part of me behind.
The slashers that raised me. That's a trivia round. That's a trivia round. Calling your name right
there. So, and the thing I love so much about slashers is that even though, they're very easily formulaic, and when they're formulaic, they are, awesome, but there's so many different ways to represent the killer, and that's kind of what I love about it and what keeps it interesting to me. So I've categorized the types of killers into some archetypes based on their nature, motivation, and methods. I've narrowed it down to 4. Is it 4? Yeah, I've narrowed it down to 4 archetypes. So one of them is kind of the one that I grew up with mostly, and that's the stock slasher. So the traits are large, silent, relentless, and seemingly indestructible. They often wear a distinct mask and walk slowly while somehow always catching the running victims. So examples of that are Michael Myers in Halloween, Jason Voorhees in Friday the 13th, and Johnny in A Violent Nature, more contemporarily. The other one would be the whodunit killer. So the traits are ordinary humans in disguises whose identity is hidden until the third act twist. They're usually motivated by a specific past trauma, a grudge, or a social revenge. Examples are Ghostface from Scream, Pamela Voorhees from Friday the 13th. The list is endless. And then we have the paranormal/supernatural prankster. So traits of these killers are Killers who operate using magic, dreamlike manipulation, or demonic possessed objects, blurring the line between the traditional stalker and a monster. Examples are Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street, Chucky from Child's Play. There was a lot of 80s like supernatural, paranormal, prankster movies that I didn't quite write down. But those kind of ones also were just very like iconic in, you know, the slasher genre for me. And then you have the backwoods hillbilly cannibal slashers. So you have rural, isolated, and often deformed or inbred families, individuals who hunt trespassers or campers using heavy tools and farming equipment. So that is, you know, Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or the Mountain Men from Wrong Turn, or the Hills Have Eyes. So all of these types of killers make up the slasher genre, and including so many more. It is, every time there is a new slasher movie, it's like the first thing that I watch. Like, you can put anything in front of me, and the slasher is going to be the first one. So my first film is Scream from 1996, director Wes Craven, writer Kevin Williamson, who also did I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is also a favorite of mine. We all know the Scream synopsis. A small town in Woodsboro, California, a mass killer known as Ghostface. He begins murdering high school students, and a group of friends must use their knowledge of horror movies to unmask the killer. So it's very meta. It's very, you know, one of the first instances that horror movies were discussed in a film, and it's one of the first instances in terms of like characters realizing that they're in a horror movie. This is the first movie that I saw in the theater. This is the first horror movie that I saw in the theater as an adult. I didn't see horror movies in the theater when I was a kid. It was all just renting them. I had this like shitty little video place down the street from where I lived. I lived in the middle of nowhere. And it was this, literally this like tiny room next to a gas station ran by this like cranky old guy who did not care that I was like 8 years old and going in there and like renting every Nightmare on Elm Street movie. So yeah, I didn't see a lot of horror in the theater. And so in 1996, I graduated high school and I moved out of my parents' house, and I was, I saw it in the theater and I was blown away. It just like heart and soul right there. And I do see your Ghostface tattoo.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I am a big Scream fan. Had a huge influence on me in probably middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just one of those ones that it's such a cool horror movie. It's like, I want to hang out with this group of teens really badly, you know? Maybe more than any other group of slasher teens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just recently watched this. The drive-in showed it a month or two ago, and it was and I've seen this film many times, but I'm always just surprised at like how well paced and the dialogue is like pretty snappy, and just it's a really extremely well made and fun movie. I like all the characters, and every time I see it, I find something new that I love, and it usually has to do with Stu, his played by Matthew Lillard. He just is like hilarious in that. Like every time he's on screen, he just kind of like, you can't take your eyes off him. He's just so funny. In that movie, and I think like the opening scene with Drew Barrymore is probably one of the greatest openings for any horror movie ever.
Big time.
It's so good.
Yeah. I think that's like where a lot of us get our, it's actually the mom in Friday the 13th, the first one, it's from that scene. You tell all your friends about it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I cut that opening weekend in the theater. So that opening scene did totally sucker punch me.
Yeah.
It was very impressive.
Yeah.
I'm also a big fan of, I have a little love for every subgenre. I like found footage quite a bit. Blair Witch is one of my favorite movies. Slashers I love. I think maybe my first real interface with a horror movie was one of my earliest memories, I was like 5, and it was the night before Halloween. My parents watched John Carpenter's Halloween every year on that same night, and I crept down the hallway and listened to the whole movie, and it still terrified me, the dialogue and of course the score. But more than anything else, I love monsters. The tragic, the gross, gothic, heroic, all of that really works for me. As I said before, my favorite movie is Bram Stoker's Dracula, but I have always preferred werewolves to vampires.
Oh.
Don't know why.
Plot twist.
It's just something that I've always liked quite a bit. I remember being a kid and like my brother and I fighting over like a werewolf action figure that didn't even move. It was just like a stagnant, more like a statue than a toy. Just because I loved him so much, and I would check out books about werewolves and monsters from the library. And the first rated R movie I saw in the movie theater was the Wolfman remake. So I was like 11, and probably the youngest person there, and I loved it. It didn't scare me at all. I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So yeah, I picked werewolves.
Awesome.
And I'm going to save the best for last, but I'm going to start with what I feel like has to be on this list, and it's The Wolfman from 1941, directed by George Wagner and written by Kurt Siodmak, who also wrote I Walked with the Zombie, Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, The Invisible Man Returns, a lot of the stuff from around that time. And I mention him specifically because I think he's responsible for so much of what we see with werewolf mythology today. This movie kind of gave birth to how we see werewolves with the transformation and the moon, and silver bullets are invented by this movie specifically. And yeah, I think a lot of what we see now with lycanthrope movies comes from this. I love the poem. I want it tattooed on me somewhere. Even a man who is pure in heart and says his prayers by night can become a wolf when the wolfsbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright, which they change later to when the moon is full and bright in the later Universal Monster movies. Lon Chaney Jr., of course, is sort of like one of the first examples of horror royalty, with his dad, obviously Lon Chaney, being the man of 1,000 faces. And I think he is fantastic as Larry Talbot. I think he brings such a sadness and moroseness to the role. I think there's some problematic stuff with him and the Gwen Conliffe character when he's watching her through that telescope. Bit of a rear window kind of moment there. But yeah, I think my favorite Universal Monster movie is The Bride of Frankenstein. I think that is the best. But like I said, werewolves are my favorite monster, so I had to mention this one. And yeah, I go back to it quite often. I also still enjoy that remake. And I always think about, that scene where he's beating the wolf with the cane, and it looks so real and so visceral. And then you compare it to the contrast of, Lon Chaney Jr. with his dog on set, and he's in the Wolfman makeup, which is made out of mostly yak fur, which seems terrible to have on your skin. And he's just curled up with his dog, and it's very sweet. And I like all of his appearances in the later Universal Monster movies. It's kind of a shame he never got his own sequel, but it's good to see him pop up in other stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
He referred to that role as his baby.
Yes, yeah, because he was, I think, the only one who played that same character over and over again. You had other people take on Frankenstein, and Bela Lugosi, I think, played Frankenstein's monster at one point. And Bela Lugosi's in this movie as a character named Bela, which is funny. But I really love this one, especially around October.
Yeah, it's a classic. I love Chaney Jr. and I love Claude Rains as his dad. The whole cast is great. Ralph Bellamy is the investigator. It is kind of funny, him spying on Gwen through his father's telescope, and then he's very pushy when he wants a date with her.
Yes, he is.
In the antique shop.
Which works because he's, the American coming into this, Welsh landscape, and it's he brings that sort of American bravado, and he's changed so much, and coming back to his homeland, he's very different. And I'm glad you brought up Claude Rains, because I feel like, in my opinion, Claude Rains as the Invisible Man and Lon Chaney Jr. as Larry Talbot are the two best performances in a Universal Monster movie. Like I said, I love Bride of Frankenstein. I think there's great stuff going on there with Karloff. But yeah, those two really have always stood out to me.
Yeah, and one thing I love about it is the cinematography, and I love the sets.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And when you realize it's all sets, there's no outdoor,
yeah,
except for on the Universal lot. But those
That forest.
Yeah, it's
the fog rolling in. Yeah, it's really good.
Iconic. And the gypsy woman, Maria Ospinskaya, or however you say her name.
Yeah, I have her name written down.
Maria Ospinskaya?
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't.
She's great.
Yeah, she is.
As well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I agree with you, like, you know, he never got his own sequel, but he's in like 3 or 4 other movies as Lawrence Talbot. And one of my favorite, because he's playing it completely straight, is in Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein.
Exactly.
He's like so great in that.
Yeah, and he's trying to warn them, and everyone else is like a joke for them, but he just has that like real sadness on his face. And if you guys know about Lon Chaney Jr., similar to other actors at the time, struggled heavily with alcoholism and stuff, and you can see he's like carrying this weight on his shoulders as he's going through that role. This, you know, to him probably equating the curse of what he was dealing with offset to
and
onset.
Very interesting parallels too in terms of the story of like a character who kind of can't get out of his father's shadow and is like working in his business.
Yeah. That's actually a thing I like, not to bring up the remake again, but I like in the remake with Anthony Hopkins as his father. He's also revealed to be a werewolf. I actually really like that addition. And like I said, I'm a fan of that remake.
Yeah,
I've never given it a chance. I'll have to.
I recently did a panel at Crypticon where I brought up that movie for being underrated. Visually, it's spectacular.
Yeah.
And I think Rick Baker's work, I mean, he won an Oscar for that movie for Best Makeup for the Wolfman, I think is like fantastic. Because it's I know a lot of people didn't like it because it doesn't look like an actual wolf, but he looks like it's modeled after Lon Chaney's makeup.
Yeah, it's just an updated Wolfman. It's very intimidating. That scene in the asylum when he transforms is like genuinely scary. And I think, what's the guy's name who plays Lawrence Talbot in that one from Usual Suspects?
Benicio del Toro.
Yes, he is fantastic. He really, I think, carries the role well.
Yeah, and Danny Elfman's score is like fantastic.
Yeah.
But we're getting sidetracked. Okay.
It happens. Quite often. Number 2 for me, I'm gonna bring up 2009's Triangle, written and directed by Christopher Smith. I shout this movie's praises from the rooftops whenever I get the opportunity. To those of you who know me, sorry, I know it's getting a little obnoxious at this point, but young woman takes a break from caring for her special needs son to go day sailing with a guy that she kind of likes. The weather doesn't go very well, their boat capsizes, and from there, things get much, much worse. They find themselves on an seemingly abandoned liner ship, and while they're looking for any signs of life, the signs of life they're looking for are looking to erase their signs of life. It's, you know, on one hand, like I still don't want to spoil it just in case someone out there hasn't seen it.
Don't do it.
Go in as blind as possible. But I will say that, you know, as complicated as the story might seem to be, I swear to God, it makes total sense. I had to watch probably like 10 or 15 times before I started to get the hang of what's going on in it. But this movie is so fucking well constructed, so brilliantly constructed that it literally functions as a sequel to itself. You can just watch a double feature like that day, and I highly recommend it. It's a good experience.
I actually did that because
yay!
Yeah, when it first came out, I was watching it with a friend, and the twist that was revealed was jaw-dropping, a holy shit moment. And when my friend left the house, I immediately rewatched it because I was just like, what the actual fuck? It was so brilliant and so good, and I love Melissa George.
Yeah.
I will watch her in anything, so yeah.
She's also in Mulholland Drive, which is my other favorite puzzle movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Fantastic movie. The second movie I'm going to talk about is basically, it falls under one of my favorite subgenres within the mad scientist subgenre, and that is the Nazi exploitation subgenre. Usually all these movies, you know, concern resurrecting old Nazi leaders or keeping Hitler's brain alive in a jar, or, of course, the one most of them have is creating Nazi super soldiers. And the 2018 film Overlord,
Nice.
I liked quite a bit. Basically, it's group of American soldiers go into France behind enemy lines right before D-Day to take out a Nazi tower. And they soon discover that a lab with experiments that the Nazis have done where they're making basically unkillable soldiers. This film stars Wyatt Russell as one of the GIs. And I think this is just a spectacular, slick, well put together action horror film. Just a lot of fun, some great practical effects in this movie, and yeah, I just highly recommend this one.
That was one of my favorite movies of the year when it came out.
It's kind of like underrated
so
too.
Good.
Nobody talks about it, but yeah, I just recently rewatched it for this, and I still think it holds up quite well.
Yeah, I really like Wyatt Russell. I think I want to see him in more stuff, and that movie in particular, he's great in.
Yeah.
It's pretty gross.
I need to revisit. It's been a while for me.
Yeah. I like the creatures. They're pretty gross. At the very end when they're all in the like warehouse or whatever the fuck it is, they're all coming at them.
Yeah.
So good. Because it also feels like a zombie movie to me. It's not just like a creature, like mad scientist creature feature. Like for me, it was very zombie-ish.
Well, they're kind of unkillable. So they're zombies in a way.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. All right, the second movie I'm going to talk about in the slasher genre is my favorite movie of 2024, In a Violent Nature, writer-director Chris Nash, starring my boy Rye Barrett as Johnny. For those of you who have not seen this movie yet, what the fuck are you waiting for? Watch it right now. Just shut off the podcast and watch this movie. Synopsis is: when a locket is removed from a collapsed fire tower in the woods that entombs the rotting corpse of Johnny, a vengeful spirit spurred by a horrific 7-year-old crime, his body is resurrected and becomes hellbent on retrieving it. So this is very classic slasher movie, revisited as a contemporary film, kind of doing new tricks of the trade, in my opinion. You have a kind of a deformed boy, man-child being resurrected as an unkillable creature who eventually gets a mask and is just hell-bent on retrieving this locket, will stop at nothing. The interesting part about this is that most of this is the POV of the killer, and maybe not POV, like it doesn't, you're not like seeing it through his eyes, but you're following him. He is your main character. And you have to be chill with the fact that you're just going to watch this guy walk through the woods for like 20 minutes and not do a damn thing, but walk. And that's kind of what I want to see in my slasher movie. I want to see that Jason Voorhees character just fucking like nonstop walking to his destination to find that goddamn person to kill. One of the scenes is like he walks, he hears, people in the background, because all of the characters that you're interacting with aside from him are these young adults, and you're always like hearing them way off in the distance first before he like gets to them. And so one of them, there's these two girls swimming at the lake, and he literally like puts his I don't know what, the bladed weapon down, I forget what it is, into like this stump, and he just like goes into the lake, and he walks across the bottom of the lake to the other side to fucking kill these bitches, and then eventually comes back and picks up his like axe or whatever and continues on his day, and it's just like the best thing. This movie is so creative in terms of kills, and Johnny is a character, really. There's this one really beautiful scene where he is taking a break from massacring, and he's sitting against a tree and finds this little toy car, I think it is, attached to a keychain or something. And he just starts to play with it. And, because he's still kind of a young boy in his brain. And it was just like a very awesome moment of humanity. Anyways, I love this movie. The second one will be coming out, I I think, next year. Very excited about that.
And what about kind of the highlight of the movie is the
yoga scene?
Well, most of the gore in the movie is spectacular.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But that yoga scene is...
The yoga scene is phenomenal, but I have to say the wood chipper or the log cutter scene is my personal favorite scene. Because that scene, the character is like alive for a lot of it, and that's horrific.
Yeah. That takes it like right up to the edge of like torture porn that I can get behind. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah.
It's very brutal and it's just wonderful.
Yeah.
I like that it's kind of a movie that asks you to come in with at least some level of love for the subgenre already. Mm-hmm. So I remember seeing it with not my usual crowd of movie-going friends, and they aren't big horror people. And afterwards, I was shocked that they did not like it. And I was kind of like, whatever. I'll just go and rewatch it. Yeah. And I think it's just, there's something like beautiful and relaxing. It's like slasher ASMR.
Oh my God. Like totally. Yes.
Yeah. And I love that scene with him in the car. It's, I think there's stuff going on with Jason Voorhees like that we're just not seeing in the Friday movies. So to get to see it is cool.
I probably shouldn't say this out loud, but I do want to see like the extended cut of Friday Part 2 with I want to see Jason installing that toilet in his shack. Is that wrong of me?
I saw this movie in the theater by myself. I think there was maybe like 2 or 3 other people in the audience. I didn't hear about it until kind of last minute. I think I saw it on social media. And it was in the theater for more than a week at the time because it was like limited release. And I went and saw it in the theater. And after it was over, I literally stand up and applauded the movie. And people around me were like, what the fuck, bitch? Like, what are you doing? And then I came home and I told everybody I could to go see this movie. And then I met Rye Barrett at Crypticon. And we're best friends now, so it's fine.
You were smitten.
Yeah, he was delightful.
Fucking adore this movie. Love it so much.
It's a great movie.
All right. What's your second pick?
All right. My second pick is 1984's The Company of Wolves, directed by Neil Jordan. His other biggest movie, in my opinion, is Interview with the Vampire, another monster movie. Another similarly very literary horror movie. If you guys don't know, this is adapted from an Angela Carter story of the same name, but it also includes other werewolf writings that she did. She had, I think, 3 of them. And I think that really works for this because you have the overarching Company of Wolves story, and then you almost have this anthological aspect of these other smaller stories getting weaved in that the grandmother's telling her granddaughter. The grandmother played by probably the most famous person in this movie, Angela Lansbury. I love, this is probably out of everything on my list, the most visually stunning for me. One of the guys who worked on it also went to work on Tim Burton's Batman, I think Batman Returns, and you can see some of those Tim Burton aspects in this, or what we come to think of Tim Burton as. There's some beautiful stop motion, there's a lot of beautiful stuff in the snow, there's a lot of weird uncanny stuff. The scene where there's like that kind of garden party and all of a sudden all the people have like dog heads is very jarring. And then the famous transformation with the huntsman is, I think, an underrated werewolf transformation, whereas it comes like kind of skinless out of him and it's all practical and just very frightening and bloody, and even before that his physical acting is imposing in like a really wiry, unnerving way, and he has the classic werewolf unibrow that I really like. There's a lot of stuff in here that I think is very beautiful. Neil Jordan said the visual design was integral. It was written and imagined with a heightened sense of reality, and he was trying to eroticize the forest. And First, who worked on the set design, I don't have his first name, but last name First, knew exactly what I was talking about. We built this Shepperton that had these vaginal propensities to them. We looked at a painter called Samuel Palmer. If you want to eroticize a landscape, look at his paintings. They're beautiful. And so it was really about sensuality and beauty, but one was very aware that at the heart of it, it was a cautionary tale and bloody, dark stuff was going on. And I went and looked at Samuel Palmer's paintings. I didn't see all that, but they were beautiful. They do have a darkness to them. And I think, like a lot of werewolf movies, and one that I'll be talking about later, dealing with the metaphor of change and entering adulthood in some way is key to a lot of these. And I also wanted to include something that harkens back to Little Red Riding Hood, which is a key part of Werewolf mythology and the Brothers Grimm fairy tale aspect. And I think this movie kind of works as maybe the best interpretation of that, while also pulling from Angela Carter. So yeah, I really love this one. I think it's very moody and very beautiful.
It feels like a fairy tale. I know there's a lot of scenes shot kind of like soft focus. And I think this movie does have just a spectacular movie poster.
Yes.
Where you have the wolf snout coming out of the guy's mouth, which I remember when I saw that as a kid, I was like, holy shit, I got to see this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, also David Warner. Love David Warner. He's playing the father.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch this. I saw it in New York City, like 20 years ago at this point. But I think I was too stoned because I don't remember a damn thing about it. But I know I watched it because it was a friend of mine at the time who we were watching. We were kind of like trading recommendations. He was very into like older movies, and he was the person that introduced me to Giallo. And I was like into contemporary movies, shocking. And so we would go back and forth. And I know he introduced me to that movie. But I was smoking a lot of pot back then. So
it's kind of the perfect like one joint and 2 glasses of wine. That's the vibe for this one.
Yeah,
it's the vibe for everything.
I was a youngin' the last time I saw this. I think I would probably have more appreciation for it now, having more experience with elegant Euro trash.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you're a fan of Interview with the Vampire, which I am, I think there's a lot of similarities in this, especially with the character of Claudia and sort of the torment of becoming an adult but not being able to become an adult is reflected in this movie a little bit as well.
Yeah.
Cool. For my third, I'm gonna preach to the choir. I don't think anyone out there hasn't seen this one yet, but again, I just feel like singing its praises. Fucking Midsommar. Nice crossover with psychological horror and psychedelic horror. This is one of the better movies, I think, in capturing the visual vibe of tripping. So this is Ari Aster's follow-up to Hereditary. Hereditary gave us that scene pretty much at the midpoint of the movie, pulled the rug out from us and devastated us completely. And in Midsommar, that scene is the opening scene. So, yeah, I love that vibe. It's like, okay, you thought that was... Okay, here's this motherfucker. Where are we going to go from here? And where we go from here turns out to be Ari Aster showing Neil LaBute how to remake The Wicker Man properly. Even throwing in that fucking bear suit that Nicolas Cage had on. But, yeah, probably my favorite horror movie of the last 25 years. It's the one that defines this century for me so far. Love it, love it, love it. And I love the way that Ari Aster kind of uses basically cult brainwashing techniques. He kind of weaves them into the film itself to have the same effect on the audience that the Harga are having on Danny in the film. There's a YouTube channel called Acolytes of Horror, and Nathan on that show probably does a much better job of explaining what I mean by that than I could right now. But just in case you haven't seen it, it's a really good movie, and just in case you haven't seen it in a while, it's definitely worth revisiting. Again, pop some edibles and have a grand old time.
What do you think of the extended version?
I bought it at Crypticon last year, and I have not watched it yet.
So I think it's like 30 minutes longer, or
that long.
I think it's a decent.
Did you see it, Jeff?
I have not seen the. I think it's on the Blu-ray that I have. It's like I think it's one of the supplementals you can watch the 3-hour version or something like that. But I'm curious about that. So.
Me too.
Yeah. I really love that scene when you see the faces in the trees. That is so frightening. I saw this, maybe too much information. I saw this at like the worst possible time to have seen it.
Post breakup.
No. Someone close in my life had actually attempted suicide in the way that occurs in the film.
What?
And
oh, wow.
Yeah. And
wow.
So I saw it, and it was like, I was like locked in, but not in a good way, just in like a holy shit, like I have to finish this just to see someone get out alive. And yeah, it really got into the heart of me in a way that Hereditary did not, which I still think Hereditary is great. I think it's one of the best of the last 10 years. But there's something about this movie that feels so dark and evil, and it's, you know, probably that personal connection, but I also think Ari Aster does a great job of taking cults and showing you the temptation of the safety they offer. Of it's like, if I just go along to get along and join these people, everything's going to be cool. Whether it's worshiping Payman or, you know, whatever incest stuff is going on in Midsummer. Yeah, it's a really effective movie, and especially, you know, all the stuff in the daylight, it makes the daylight scary.
Yeah. Great ending.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
Incredible ending.
Yeah. I remember, like you said, pulling the rug out from people. It does that, and I think it also did that post viewing for a lot of people, because a lot of people walked away and they were kind of like, well, that's good for her horror.
Yes.
But it's not. It's really not.
No.
Yeah, I saw it in the theater, and I have never revisited it. I don't know. It didn't hit for me like it did for a lot of people. But every time I hear somebody talk about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I should rewatch that, because there's so many films that, you know, I'm very lukewarm about, and then I see it again, and now it's like my new favorite movie.
The third movie I'll talk about is concerns one of the kind of tropes of the mad scientist genre, and that's the doctor who is going to go to any means to save a family member, loved one, girlfriend, wife, whatever. This film's a French film from 1960, The Eyes Without a Face, by director Georges Franju. Tells the story of a doctor who kidnaps beautiful young women, removes their faces to graft them onto his daughter, who was severely disfigured in a auto accident. Now, this is a total B-movie plot, but the film is just cinematography-wise beautiful. It has some striking visuals, some explicit gore for the time of 1960, and there are some, like, I think it's an iconic image of his daughter who wears a porcelain mask through most of the movie. Is just, there's something completely striking and beautiful about that. And most of the movie takes place in this kind of secluded mansion where the doctor has his daughter locked up. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. I would highly recommend it if you have not seen it.
Pretty sure Carpenter mentioned her mask as an influence on the Michael Myers mask.
Oh, yeah, you could see that for sure.
Guess what, Jeff?
What?
I've seen it.
You have?
Yeah.
Did
You're
you
always
like it?
talking about how I don't watch black and white movies.
Well, usually you don't like black and white movies, so did you like this one?
Yeah, I loved it.
Or was it boring?
No, it wasn't boring at all. I loved it.
Jeff, I have not seen this one, but it's another one that's on my watch list. And as soon as you said it, you know, that poster kind of pops into your mind. You're just like, oh, it really kind of shocks you a bit.
Yeah.
I'd be curious, you know, I haven't seen this one either, but The Skin I Live In has a similar poster. I'd be curious if there was any, you know, we're pulling from that for this a little bit.
That was one of the titles I was contemplating too, because that's a good one. Antonio Banderas is fantastic in that.
That's a movie.
Yeah.
That has an effect.
Yeah. No. Very similar plot-wise too. But yeah.
My third movie is the foundational movie for me, aside from Scream. This movie I literally rewatch every year, and that is Halloween. Of course, written by John Carpenter and Deborah Hill, directed by John Carpenter. We all know the synopsis of this movie, but this film is essentially everything that is creepy about Halloween, the holiday, the season. I don't think that the season would feel like Halloween or October if not for this movie. For me personally, it's kind of the heart and soul and the spirit of the season. I love everything about this movie. I love the friends. I love the, ditzy, girl who is, having sex. I love the kind of crappy friend of a babysitter who, is just hoping that her boyfriend comes over, and then Jamie Lee Curtis's character, who's just such a good girl and such a good babysitter, and the kids are even likable. I mean, everything about this film is just iconic, and Michael Myers is the best. I feel like he's the best slasher killer out there. He's just so stoic and tall and unmovable, and when the iconic scene of him in the bedroom upstairs after she stabs him, and he just sits up and her back is to him, and you're just like, every time I see that scene, I'm like, turn around, what are you doing? God, I love that movie so much. So yeah, that is my third movie for the best represented slasher film of the subgenre.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Shut up.
I feel like that movie has just kind of been with me my whole life because, like I said, my parents watched it every single year, and then I carried on that tradition. And just, it's going to sound crazy to say, but if I was going to pass away while watching a movie, like at the very end of it, it would be Halloween. Something about the ending of that with the blue tones and the leaves rustling and the quiet score is just like a warm bath for me. I love it. And I love just all the little things, like throughout my life, like when I'm going to open a door and I don't get the key on the first time, I'll do the keys. And I loved that Ben Tramer question in the last.
Why is that guy throwing potted plants at his house?
Yeah. And I also love all like the little tiny, like Devon Graham is just like a name that'll pop into my head randomly, and it's like one of the kids they go to school with. So all of that stuff is just.
Yeah, is that Devon Graham?
Yeah.
You could ask Dick Baxter; he'd go out with you.
No, it's like Halloween is one of the pillars of my horror fandom.
Absolutely.
It's like I can't even judge it because it's like part of like who I am.
Yeah.
It's just like it's so ingrained in my brain that it's like I can't even find like a fault in it, right?
Yeah.
It's
Agreed.
like it's so beautiful.
Yeah. Heather pointed out my ghost face tattoo, but I also have one right here that says "Don't Fear the Reaper," and I get people who are like, "Oh, Blue Oyster Cult fan," and it's like, well, this scene in Halloween where they listen to the song
by proxy.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that original Michael West thing, I'll say, is just such fucking lightning in a bottle. Mm-hmm. To like just the happenstance of like Tommy Lee Wallace is in a store. Hey, here's a Captain Kirk mask. I'll spray paint it white, and hiring the perfect actor. No one has ever gotten Michael's body language right since Nick Castle. No one.
Yeah.
Dick Warlock came very close a few times in Halloween 2, but there's just something so special about Nick Castle in that fucking mask.
And I think like one of my favorite shots in all of cinema is the one after Laurie discovers Annie's body upstairs and she backs up against the closet and it's totally black, and then you see Michael's face just kind of slowly appear.
Yeah.
It's so, and I didn't even notice that the first number of times I saw it because I had the pan and scan VHS.
Yeah.
So you get, in that movie, you need to see widescreen.
Yeah. And what's crazy about that part is he's not moving at all. That's just like Dean Cundy changing the lighting so it's slowly revealed. Yeah. I love that part. Yeah. I love Tommy looking out the window and seeing him briefly like holding Annie's body is something like a thing from another world, scary.
Yeah. And the thing is, because that score is so, like when I hear that score, you think of Halloween because that's what's playing in the background of the movie they're watching when he's staring out the window.
Yeah.
It's like,
it was my ringtone when I was in like 5th grade.
Yeah. Tarantula Man, all these comic books that it's like, I think all of us could just
you want to do an episode on Halloween
in order.
We'll do a reenactment for the podcast for our Halloween episode. We'll just do a read through. I love that. Okay.
All right. My number 3 is 2000's Ginger Snaps, directed by John Fawcett, and written by Karen Walton. Yeah, I talked about my list with a few friends before I came on, and they had other ideas, and someone was like, what about Teen Wolf? I love Teen Wolf, but Ginger Snaps covers all of Teen Wolf in a much better way, in a much more realistic way. And of course, speaking about the metaphor of lycanthropy as puberty, that's nothing has ever done it, nothing will ever do it like this. Especially having a brother, I think when Alex and I watched this as young teens, I think we were kind of like, well, that's kind of us, but they're chicks, because we were little weird kids who collected bones and did all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I always loved that aspect, and I think Catherine Isabel is fantastic. I think Emily Perkins, also horror royalty, is fantastic. Interesting that she's playing the younger sister when we had seen her in It 10 years before that. I think she's slightly older than Catherine Isabel, maybe more than slightly. I think there's great comedy in this, especially with the parents, and I think it's very teen oriented. It's yeah, parents do that, parents act like that.
Yeah, Mimi Rogers is so good in this as their mother.
I love her shitty outfits.
Yeah, and she kind of comes through at the end, I'm gonna get my girls out of here.
Yeah.
And then the transformation is very different. It's a long form, heavily focused on body horror transformation. So I love that. And maybe the last thing I'll say is I think this walked so Jennifer's body could run.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Ginger Snaps.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
Absolutely. Fantastic script, fantastic lead characters, fantastic performances. Good shit, man.
Yeah. Good shit, man.
One of my most sought after tapes. If anyone has it out there and you want to sell it, I'll buy it from you. Maybe, depending on the price. I think the last one I saw at a swap was $70, and I was like, maybe
really?
Not today. Yeah.
Wow. So it's
I'm gonna preach to the choir one more time, and I assume most of you have seen this, maybe at least once. Backrooms. I'm just a little obsessed with this one.
Never heard of it.
Oh, okay. Well, see. Okay, we're going back. If you know Clip Out of Reality, if I hear that fucking paragraph description one more time, I'll be fine with it. Who am I kidding? But so yeah, got a little obsessed with this one. I personally thought that this was a really good way into that universe from a feature film standpoint. I think initially Kane Parsons had wanted to kind of make it an Async Research Corporation movie. I'm not sure at what point the idea of the therapist and client plot came into being, but for me it works very, very organically. There is a very heavy psychological vibe to all the stuff that's going on in the back rooms, Jungian and Freudian, if you ask me. And the fact that the Async Institute refers to the back rooms in the Kane series as the complex is a wonderful psychological pun right there. We can look at our main characters, Clark, kind of suffering from a combination of a superiority complex and a persecution complex. Mary's childhood trauma has given her a bit of a savior complex, which explains some of the dodgier decisions that she makes later in the film. I think some people got taken out to why did she go check on them at the furniture store? Why didn't she just have the police do a wellness check? Well, that's her own particular baggage that she's dealing with. And then the Async Institute itself, represented in the movie by Phil, have a serious Icarus complex going on. And they will definitely suffer for that. Especially with all of there's just so much fucking sun imagery in all of Kane's content for the YouTube series and then in the movie, and it's driven some of his fans and analyzers crazy. Wendigoon's just been like, what the fuck does the sun mean, Kane? And Kane's not saying anything. Anyway, yeah, I think this movie is going to reveal itself to us and what it means to us on a psychological collective unconscious level for years to come, and I'm really excited to see where the conversation goes. It's been going strong for a long time, and since it came out, and I'm just so fucking pleased with this movie. I can't even tell you.
I like this movie.
Yeah. I'm really excited to rewatch it at Camp Slaughter.
Yeah.
Because I liked it, but I wasn't in love with it. But I think your enthusiasm for it is rubbing off on me, and I would like to see it again.
Yeah, I'm probably the lowest on this one. I was okay with it when I saw it, but afterwards I was just kind of like, everything that worked, it could have worked as like the original format of the short videos. It kind of felt like the narrative was like bent onto the movie. That being said, I do owe it a rewatch, and we'll definitely check it out again down the road. And I like analog horror. I actually really like Skinamarink.
Right there with you.
Yeah, Skinamarink.
It's us against those two.
Skinamarink got under my skin the way I wanted the Backrooms to, and the Backrooms just did not do that for me. And I think if that doesn't work for you, then the movie as a whole might not work for you. That being said, incredibly impressive that a guy who's 20 years old did all of this. So all of his flowers, and if there's more to this universe, I will definitely check it out.
Yeah.
The next movie I'll talk about concerns a doctor who has had many cinematic versions, and this is probably my favorite from 1989, Edge of Sanity, with Anthony Perkins as Dr. Jekyll. This movie is very 1980s. It looks like a music video. We all know the story of Dr. Jekyll. He's a doctor trying to help mankind, ends up with a serum that is basically kind of like cocaine that turns him into a prostitute-loving savage. There's a lot to love about this trashy movie. It's so kind of mean-spirited and nasty. It has a lurid look. It's supposed to be in the late 1800s, but it looks like it's like kind of a mix between 1800s and 1980s with the fashions. Perkins is not under a lot of makeup when he's Mr. Hyde. Basically, he wears kind of all black and looks like kind of a goth Iggy Pop. I love this movie so much. It's so kind of strange and bizarre, but a lot of fun. You have an unhinged performance by Perkins, which I have to give him credit because by this point in his career, this is one of his last movies. I mean, he was unfortunately typecast as, a psychomaniac, of course. And he just gives it his all in this movie, and I just absolutely adore it. Has anybody seen Edge of Sanity?
I have not.
No, but what did you describe him as? The doctor, prostitute? What was that?
Prostitute, loving,
savage.
Savage. Yeah. Sounds like such a Jeff movie.
Yeah, he's. Thanks, I'll take that as a compliment.
It is a compliment.
Yeah, this movie is. It's got some pretty savage violence in it. And have you seen the Anthony Perkins movie he did, the Ken Russell movie, Crimes of Passion from the 80s? He and Kathleen Turner in it, and he's plays another kind of wild man with some strange perversions. And this seems almost like this could be a sister performance he's giving in this movie. But yeah, it's...
Now that you mention it, yeah.
I love it.
I don't think the service down the Wi-Fi down here isn't very good. I was just checking my letterbox to is this one of those movies that I did see and I was just so stoned that I forgot, but I don't think I have yet. I'm dying to, actually.
No, I have not seen it.
Very
it's
excited.
Gonna go on my list. All right, number four. Number four for me is 1988's silly movie called Sleepaway Camp 2 on Happy Campers.
Sleepaway Camp 2.
I know. So, this was one of those movies that as a kid I just watched over and over and over again. And it was, aside from Freddy Krueger being, kind of a comedian, this was kind of the first horror movie that scared me because it was so gory and violent, but it was also funny and kind of very strange and off kilter. And it kind of also introduced the idea of the body mover, which comes up time and time again when it comes to slasher. So body mover is essentially somebody who kills their victims and then moves them all into one location. And usually that location, they're also like setting up a scene, like in Happy Birthday to Me. Yeah. Exactly. Like all of them are staged around a table, and it's a birthday party. And so that's kind of the body mover trope. And this was the first movie that I saw that I remember that the body mover kind of started. And so yeah, it's a very bizarre movie. It doesn't really, for me, I have some problems with Sleepaway Camp in terms of how it's talked about now, being a transgender character. For me, my perception of it is that this little boy, spoilers ahead, this little boy was forced to dress like a girl by his aunt, and it wasn't consensual, which is why he became a killer, and was so like unhinged. So that's my interpretation of that character from Sleepaway Camp. So it doesn't really fit Sleepaway Camp 2, where Angela, the main character, is now an adult and has had gender surgery essentially, and is now fully a woman. So, it doesn't really line up in terms of how I thought this character that was a boy being forced to present as a girl, and how that psychologically like fucked him up, is now just like fully embracing it. So, maybe that's true. Maybe it's just, how they wrote it. Either way, Angela's fucking hilarious. She's funny. She hates it when people are immoral, and she will kill the shit out of you and literally kill you with shit. So I still to this day am terrified of going into a raised toilet outhouse, because I think she's going to break in and shove me down the hole with a giant log, and I'll be covered in shit and leeches. So that lives in my brain rent free. So yeah, this is just one of those silly 80s movies that has just stuck with me over my entire adulthood, and is one of those best represented slasher movies because it's weirdly unhinged, very violent, and very funny, in my opinion. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah, I just watched this one for the first time, like very recently, like last month, and I really liked it. I've always loved the first Sleepaway Camp, probably because it was so scary to me when I was a kid. Just the ending is, when you're a kid, you never see that coming.
And those short shorts were terrifying.
Yes, yeah, and the crop tops, all of it. But I've seen it sometimes at this point. That's just like, this is one that Sleepaway Camp's not one that I'm dying to rewatch. Like I do a lot of other stuff. But Sleepaway Camp 2, when I finished, I was like, I can rewatch this in like a week. Like something about it is just very like easy breezy, and it's a good time.
Yeah, it's a very silly movie, but it has a lot of rewatch potential.
It's kind of delightful, yeah.
I got to rewatch it.
Miss Springsteen is very charming.
I think it's been like 25 plus years since I've seen it, so I got to watch this one again.
Yeah,
I think I saw them on like a double feature on USA Up All Night, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah. Nice. All right, what's your... oh, wait. No, it's you.
Yes. My number 4 is 2002's Dog Soldiers, written and directed by Neil Marshall, famously directed The Descent. With my list, I was trying to pick things that I felt like were kind of like the building blocks for the subgenre. So The Wolfman's the classic, you need it. The Company of Wolves represents the fairy tale aspect. Ginger Snaps is just, I think, probably the best modern werewolf movie, or closest to modern. This, the early 2000s, you were getting stuff like Underworld and Van Helsing. I didn't pick either of those because I don't think either of them are as strong as this movie, and also they include vampires, so it's not strictly werewolves. But I think the action horror of that era, with stuff like that and Blade, is kind of a not overlooked but important thing that not a lot of people talk about. And I think Dog Soldiers is like the key blend of action and horror when it comes to werewolves. Yeah, you've got Sean Pertwee as Sergeant Harry Wells. Liam Cunningham is in this movie as Captain Ryan. My favorite character is Spoon, who's played by Darren Morfitt. I think he gets one of the best horror one-liners ever after he fistfights a werewolf. The werewolf lifts him up and he says, I hope I give you the shits, you fucking wimp. It's so good. There's a scene where he's like swinging around like a big Scottish sword because this is about a military training exercise that goes wrong in the Scottish Highlands and werewolves come in. It's got some great twists. I really enjoy the character of Megan, the zoologist. I think that twist you see coming. But the one that maybe you don't is that the military is actually there to capture a werewolf and use it as a weapon. And I think that kind of leans into a popular comparison with this movie of it's kind of like Aliens, but with werewolves. Mm-hmm. And I like Aliens. I'm not a huge sci-fi horror guy, so this works a lot better for me. And when I saw this as a teenager, I was kind of just like, this is fucking awesome. Like, this is exactly what I wanted in my kind of action movie. So yeah, I love this movie.
I love the werewolf design.
Yes.
It's like pretty cool.
I think it's the most uncanny of all the werewolves because they're so tall and they move weird and they're like mostly hairless except for the head. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, that movie terrified me when I watched it. Just like the scenes where they're under attack, under siege, I was just like, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if other people feel this way, but I get so swept away with how cool werewolves are. And it's like, man, I wish I was a werewolf. But then you think like, you're like hiking through the woods alone, or even if you're going out to the car and it's a foggy night, if an 8-foot tall monster came at you with fangs and claws, it would be terrifying, especially if you were locked in a cabin with one.
Yeah, and the character of Megan, like playing Claire de Lune on the piano, is like that scene is like pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like this movie. I remember the first time I saw it, I had to put subtitles on because their accents are
they're really
so thick. I'm like, what are they saying?
Yeah,
but yeah. I know, like, for a long time, this was, like, not available. Like, I know it was on VHS, but it wasn't available until Scream Factory put out, like, a Blu-ray. And then I think somebody else upgraded that with even, like, more lost footage or something like that.
I have a DVD of it.
Yeah, but it's been, like, upgraded a couple times.
I've got it on VHS. I know the streaming version that's available through wherever is not great, but there's actually a really good one. A little piracy here. It's just ripped on YouTube. The whole thing's on there and it looks really good. So if you don't have the funds and you're not a Movie Madness member, which you should be, then you can just watch it on there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like it's been, again, like at least 15, maybe 20 years since I've seen this one. It was kind of on the heels of like, I want to see what else the guy who made The Descent made. Mm-hmm. I do remember liking it. I don't know if this memory is justified. I think I felt like it had a little bit of an Edgar Wright vibe with some of the comedy. Okay.
Yeah, and actually the character of Spoon was going to be played by Shaun of the Dead guy, whose name escapes me.
Simon Pegg?
Simon Pegg, yes. Okay. But he had already agreed to be in Edgar Wright's first movie, so he ended up doing Shaun of the Dead. Yeah, it does kind of have a little bit of that to it. Cool. Maybe a little more edge than Edgar Wright, but yeah.
Sure.
Nice.
Oh, I'm going to wrap up here. This is maybe horror adjacent. I don't know if I can call it horror, but for as viscerally affecting and harrowing and maybe sometimes nauseating as it can be, I feel like it's close enough. But Gaspar Noé's Enter the Void. This is just more of a dark, tragic melodrama, but this is all told from the first-person POV, literal POV, of an American drug dealer living in Tokyo who gets shot by the police and dies while tripping. And that's the first 20 minutes of the movie. And the rest of the movie is him leaving his body, flashing back to various points of his terrible, tragic life, and numerous flashbacks to the car accident that took his parents when he and his sister were kids. his kind of evolution into the drug dealing character he's become, and he's also floating above the city, kind of checking in on the various people in his life now that he's gone, and going through all kinds of trippy, stroby, ectoplasmic tunnels, and it's a very DMT movie. And as dark as it is, like it's dark enough that I wouldn't take a full hit of anything watching it, but there's a threshold. The first 2 times that I saw this in a theater, I had enough of an edible thing going that it was perfect. And then the 3rd time, I had a little bit too much, and it was the worst thing in the world because like I had to walk out because I started thinking about like you didn't want to start thinking that you're gonna die while you're watching a movie about dying while you're tripping. Little known fact, take that with you. But I felt so terrible because like I felt embarrassed because I wanted to tell like the staff. I was like, no, I've seen this twice before. I swear to God, I'm hardcore. So be very careful because it is it's messed up, but it is also quite possibly the most psychedelic movie I've ever seen. The effects in this movie are just insane and absurd and adventurous and audacious, and I've never seen anything quite like it.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah. I have not seen this film, but it did remind me that I saw Begotten when I was really, really high.
Oh, dear.
And I started thinking about dying and cancer and rotting, and I had to walk away and like go out into the daylight and like smell a flower or something. Mm-hmm. And eventually I came down and I went back to it. But that movie was fucking rough. Mm-hmm. Don't ever, hey kids at home, don't ever watch Begotten while you're high.
I remember I saw this movie and people had told me, no, you need to, be on something when you're watching this movie to get the full experience. So I was pretty high, and I have to admit, like, I wept through part of this movie. So I'm just like, this is not really what I expected.
Yeah.
But it was a fucking experience. Mm-hmm. I have not seen this since then.
Yeah.
So
fair enough.
But, yeah.
This is a blind spot for me, but it sounds up my alley, so I'll be checking it out.
Cool.
As far as getting too high and watching horror movies, the first time I watched In the Mouth of Madness, I was way too high. And at the end, I was like, is this really happening? Like, are we in this movie?
Yeah.
And then immediately the next day rewatched it. I love that movie now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to check out more Gaspar Noé stuff. So
Nice.
Maybe.
Okay. At least this one.
He's not for everybody.
Okay.
Well,
I'll give him a try.
Okay.
My last movie, I cannot talk about Mad Scientists without talking about one of my favorite movies of all time, and that's Frankenhooker.
Yeah.
1990, A Tale of Sluts and Bolts by director Frank Henenlotter,
Oh my God.
who made a lot of fantastic movies in the 1980s, Basket Case, Brain Damage, and Frankenhooker. Does anybody not know what Frankenhooker is about? Basically,
You forced me to watch it, so yeah, I'm
student
very well aware.
Jeffrey Franken tries to rebuild his fiance after a horrible lawnmower accident. And how does he do that? He makes some super crack. Goes to Harlem, gives it to some ladies of the evening, ladies of the night. They smoke it. They explode. He takes the body parts and uses them to rebuild Elizabeth, his fiance. This movie is pretty much a perfect movie to me. It's like there are no wasted scenes in this movie. Every scene is to to move the plot forward. It's kind of divided into 2 segments. James Lawrence, first half he plays the doctor, and then the second half is all Patty Mullen as our Frankenhooker. And I think both of them pretty much sell this movie and make it what it is. Jeffrey Franken's performance is charming. He's driven, he's crazy, but he's also extremely likable. And Patty Mullen as Elizabeth is fantastic. And she's not really even an actress. She was like a Penthouse pet who did a couple of other movies. But she is fantastic in this movie. I mean, what else can I say? A movie like Frankenhooker. Who could not like that title for a movie?
It practically sells itself.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. I love this movie. I think it's really fun. Maybe it's, like my own headcanon wish is I would love to see a Toxic Avenger and Frankenhooker like get together romantic comedy comic book or something one day. Yeah. For some reason, I don't know why it popped in my head, but that's what I'd like.
Yeah, and it has like kind of like the Basket Case Creations where he has the fridge with all the kind of mutated creations, and then it sucks in the pimp, and those creations are like comical but kind of highly disturbing,
a little bit
as well. Yeah, fantastic movie.
All right,
I agree.
Moving on. My fifth and final pick for the slasher subgenre is Prom Night 1980. As I'd mentioned before, this is the first horror movie I've ever seen, and I revisit this movie quite often. And I love every moment of this movie. There's so many iconic horror tropes in this that I always revisit. So it starts off with, the kids playing and bullying each other that leads to a tragic accident. And then, you go on to follow some of these children as teenagers, young adults, navigating through the tragedy that happened. Of course, Jamie Lee Curtis is in this. She's kind of the scream queen of my childhood, and I know many others, but her in this movie, she is so beautiful. She, in Halloween, she's kind of like the, good girl, and she's very plain Jane, but in Prom Night, she's just gorgeous and sexy. And I love the like weird prank phone calls, and then you get to go to prom night, and like, it's fucking prom night. It's so cool and magical, and like, I thought this was how prom should be. I never actually ended up going to prom, but this is like what I thought prom would be like, this big fucking dance party. And my favorite scene that I rewatch over and over again is, of course, when Jamie Lee Curtis is dancing at prom with her boyfriend or whoever she was there with. I think the actor is Casey Stevens or something, and they're dancing to that Tonight song. And it's the longest dance scene in the history of horror movies, and it is so cool and beautiful. But yeah, and then the killer is kind of a twist, and just a great, I wouldn't say overlooked movie, but I think I talk about Prom Night a lot, but I don't really hear it being talked about much out there in the horror world. So if you haven't seen Prom Night, or if you haven't seen it in a while, give it a revisit. It is a good time.
Got Leslie Nielsen.
Sure does.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Prom Night. Also, Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou.
Right? Yeah. So the Prom Night 2, when we were talking about iconic VHS, covers, that is like, I rented that movie because of the cover, and then was very confused about how it had nothing to do with Prom Night. So yeah, a favorite. But
yeah, the first Prom Night's great. I think movies that kind of establish scream queens are so important, and I think that, along with Halloween, The Fog, Halloween 2, are all integral to how we view scream queens today with Jamie Lee Curtis. So yeah.
All right, you want to take us out with the last movie of the night?
Yeah.
Take us home.
Last one for me. So like I said, the classic, the fairy tale, the modern favorite, and then the action. This is what I would consider the fan favorite, probably regarded as the best werewolf movie. And it's 1981's An American Werewolf in London, written and directed by John Landis. Say well about John Landis. Helicopters, neither here nor there. The dude can write and direct a good movie, and especially a good comedy movie. And American Werewolf in London is, outside of maybe Evil Dead 2, the best horror comedy, in my opinion. I think it's a beautiful blend of the two genres. I think it's similarly to Halloween comforting, but there's also a stark fear in it of being an outsider and being on your own all of a sudden. I remember showing this to a friend of mine. It's one of my favorites to show people who haven't seen it, and my friend had not seen it. And I showed it to him, and for some reason afterwards, the scene when they're at the pub and Jack points at the wall with the pentagram, and he's like, "What's that on the wall?" For months after, every bar we went to, we would just point at something random and just be like, "What's that on the wall?" I don't know why, I just love that. I think Griffin Dunn's great as Jack. The makeup, of course, Rick Baker won an Academy Award for this. The werewolf transformation is probably the most iconic werewolf transformation ever. And then again, the makeup on Jack, the rotting flesh is scarier even than the werewolf to me. And the scene, I have to mention when David has that nightmare and it's his family and they're watching the Muppets, and then all of a sudden the werewolf Nazis come in and break the TV and then kill the family is horrific. Again, scarier to me than the werewolves. That scene in the subway is terrifying. All of the music, all of the songs about moons, Blue Moon, Bad Moon Rising, Moon Dance, the stuff with the nurse is great. The stuff with the doctor, who's like kind of your Van Helsing stand-in because he's trying to figure out what's going on. And then maybe one of the best cut to blacks ever with that ending of David dying and then just cuts and the doo-wop version of Blue Moon, which again is like tragedy and then a laugh out of nowhere. I love all of that. And I think my only issue with this movie is the werewolves on four legs. For me, a werewolf has to be bipedal. But that's just my opinion. I still think it's an awesome looking werewolf.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite movies of all time. I totally agree with you. Kind of the definition of probably one of the best horror comedies ever made. I love the look of the werewolf, and I love the sound.
Yeah.
His roar is just like when they're on the moors and you hear it, it's like, oh my God, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's so primal. When David falls and Jack goes to help him up and then just comes out. So good.
Yeah.
I talked my mom into taking me to see this at like 10 years old, and she didn't forgive me for like a month. Yeah. I regret nothing. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that dream sequence, like you said, is scary, and it also has, of course, the double dream.
Yeah.
Which is like
gets me every time. Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah, and I love the more intimate stuff with his relationship with Nurse Jenny, and just like the time you spend with him alone in her apartment, and just kind of the comfort of like, oh, maybe I'm safe, but you're not, because the lunar cycle's approaching, is so great. And 1981, huge year for werewolf movies, because you have The Howling and Wolfen also that same year. Yeah. And I love The Howling. I used to say I liked it more than American Werewolf in London, and then my frontal lobes developed. Oh, actually, this is better.
Also, Full Moon High.
Full Moon High, yeah.
Not nearly as well known as the other ones.
It's very, like as far as horror comedies go, like this one is very singular. It seems like the horror is horror, the comedy is comedy, and they don't fight each other, but they don't mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not dissonant to have them kind of, but it's very uncomfortable, and that you can just go from a pure laugh to a pure scare or a pure shock, kind of so on a dime.
Yeah, they stay pretty singular, and the only real bridge is Jack, coming to David and the whole, kill yourself, you'll feel better, and all the people in like the porno movie theater who are like telling him to kill himself. It's just so dark, but also so funny.
All the conversations with Jack, and then when they went to See You Next Wednesday, is that the movie? Yeah. They're watching, like those whole conversations are just like, it's like you can imagine when he wrote that script. Like people reading it, like, is this gonna work?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's like, but it does.
Yeah.
So, I never saw it as a horror comedy, actually. So I'll have to rewatch it with that in mind. This is one of Adam's favorite films, and we have it on VHS, and he watches it, I feel like, every month. And so it's always playing. And I don't necessarily sit down and watch it from, beginning to end, because I feel like I've seen it too many times, but I need to rewatch it with more of an eye for comedy, because there's certain films that people think are funny that I don't understand where the humor is. Weapons, for instance.
Yeah.
People think Weapons is hilarious, and I'm like, I don't see any humor in this movie.
The ending is hilarious.
I
think
think
she's
it's
getting
terrifying.
chased by all the kids.
No, I don't think
like,
it's funny. I think it's horrific.
Yeah.
But anyways,
not to go off like on too much of a tangent, but yeah, I think horror comedies nowadays specifically, everyone's like, I think a lot of people are trying to make horror comedies and they don't succeed. I think a lot of audiences are either uncomfortable with being scared or won't allow themselves to be scared. So they kind of have to be like, oh, well, this is just funny. It's like, no, this is scary.
Yeah.
With An American Werewolf, I think the comedy is like pitch black. So, as a kid, I didn't pick up on it. And like I said, it took me getting older and being like, oh, I see what he's doing here. And he had written this script in like the late 60s. So it was before he had done Blues Brothers or Animal House. And he wasn't able to get it made until he had done those. I really love this movie. And the transformation, I mean, not enough can be said about that. It looks so painful. Yeah. I mean, him grabbing his head in the sweat. Yeah.
I remember the first time I saw this, the Piccadilly Square massacre scene is like disturbing as hell.
Oh yeah.
Chaos. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, you guys, I think we're at the end of our night here. We covered a lot of ground and I'm glad we all had different subgenres. We didn't discuss this before. I kind of wanted it just to play out naturally. So, but a lot of interesting movies. Thank you, Logan, again for coming and being our guest. Again, check out social media for Driving of the Dead 2 happening in September. We will post all about it. And we hope to see you there.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us today.